In a case brought against Meta by a coalition of state attorneys general, they claim that Meta engineered its platforms to get young people hooked and illegally collected their data. Now, the state AGs are seeking changes to Meta's apps for people under age 18, including ending infinite scrolling, video autoplay, and like counts. They also want Meta to tweak its algorithm to prioritize content that promotes well-being for young users.
That's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 75 points. At this hour, we're at 53,845. Coming up, more rain and cooler temperatures in the forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement. And it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be six figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Looking to transform your kitchen or bathroom? Discover the difference at AMC Building Materials. New arrivals are here. Explore the latest shaker-style cabinets, sleek European-style flat panel cabinets, and beautiful new quartz countertops in today's most popular colors. With a 25,000 square foot showroom and a warehouse in Salt Lake City, AMC keeps a wide selection of the most popular cabinets and countertops in stock. So many in-stock cabinet styles are available for same-day purchase and pickup, making it easy to start your project right away. Enjoy factory direct pricing, free design, free in-home measurements, and expert installation. Most remodeling projects are completed in as little as 10 days. Visit the AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West or schedule your free estimate today at amckitchensaltlakecity.com. AMC Building Materials. Come see the difference today.
It is hard to believe, but it's time for back to school. Now, we still have some great summer ahead of us and all kinds of things at NPS to make the summer complete, especially for our kids. The fun toys for the outdoors, the great treats for the picnics, it's all waiting for you at NPS. But for just a moment, let's focus on back to school. You know, it is getting expensive. That's why we need NPS. To get our kids back to school, why not save the money? 20 to 70% each and every day on everything at the 4 NPS stores. And then, this is what makes it so much fun and really puts the adventure into shopping at NPS. You never know when you're going to find one of those deals that offers an additional 30, 40, 50% off. The NPS stores are located in Orem, in Layton, and the 2 stores in Salt Lake. NPS, it truly is a nice place to save.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Still looking at residual delays southbound I-15 through Davis and Weber counties. Starting in Weber County, it's slow as you pass Riverdale Road and come down toward SR 193 in Clearfield. And then those heavier delays pick up as you pass the West Davis corridor merge on I-15 and reach all the way down to 600 North. Southbound Legacy Highway pretty slow approaching I-215's West Belt, where those delays continue all the way down to I-80. And then in Utah County, we've got some pretty hefty delays southbound I-15 starting at 400 South in Springville. In Springville, and then reaching all the way down to the US 6 interchange. And we do have a crash there at that off-ramp from southbound I-15. It looks like there's a lane blocked on the off-ramp, and on main flow, so it's getting pretty slow there, but they are quickly clearing that out. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Rainy today with showers across the state. The high is around 81 degrees, much of the same tomorrow. Right now it's cloudy and 70 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Yay, we finally saw some rain. So it felt a little more like fall this morning. I'm really happy about that. The clouds meant, of course, I couldn't see the meteor shower last night. I did look both at about 11 p.m. and then this morning about 4:30, couldn't see them. But the rain I love.
Yeah, I actually saw a little bit on my way in today. Some people saw more than others. We just got a sprinkle up north. But it has been a really hot and dry summer, and so the rain is a welcome sight, I think, all over the state of Utah. We want to know what you're seeing in your neck of the woods. If you've gotten much rain, text us at 57500 and tell us if it's falling in your area this morning.
Or if it did, right? It's important to remember, too, that even with the rain falling across much of the state today, fire conditions are still poor, and areas affected by the wildfires could see even more flooding.
Yeah, I mean, the good news, bad news, when the rain comes after the fires, you have the risk of flooding. We did hear from KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson with rain totals over the last day and take a look at how things are supposed to shape up for today.
Folks, in the last 36 hours, Brian Head has picked up almost 3.5 inches of rain. Some of that was accumulating hail yesterday. Soldier Summits picked up 1.31. Penguich Lake in the last 2 days, 2 inches. But yesterday alone, 1.10. West Enoch, 1.02. Park City Mountain, 1/4 inch. And the same for Montpelier. Hoping for another round today. Scattered thunderstorms are in the forecast. They'll be hit and miss, but man, they could really pack a punch across the Wasatch Front. Highs will only top in the low 80s because of all the rainfall activity. 82 tomorrow with a slight chance for storms, and then we dry it out Saturday with a high of 85.
I still say hallelujah.
Brian Head gets 3+ inches?
Yeah.
Oh, my word. That's a lot. That's a beautiful ski resort just east of Cedar City. An incredible area, so they could use that moisture there, although that's a lot to come in a very short period of time. And those other totals that Matt was mentioning are just a lot of rain in a very short period of time, but we didn't hear anything bad like flooding or anything like that.
Yet.
But, yeah, right. But
maybe
it could still come.
So the Deseret News actually did a piece on the after effects of wildfires, the costs and the numbers there. And we've been talking about the flooding, and it's not just that once the flames are out, which they're not yet, but the fact that it takes a long time to recover. So you have not only do you have now buildings that have been destroyed, that takes a while, but dangerous flooding, and the water can be polluted for a number of years afterwards, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, the overflow of the water gets into the water system, and then you've got this mud, you've got these other things that really affect the water treatment facilities and what they're trying to do there, which are sensitive to begin with, but then when they get hit by floods and they get contaminated by flood water, it takes a long time to clean all that out.
So you did the Monroe fire down in your neck of the woods last year, right? So that was the name of the fire down there.
We didn't
in
see
Sevier
any,
and Paiute counties?
Yeah, we didn't see any ongoing water issues or problems like that. Like I say, that region has been hit hard because I mentioned yesterday I was scheduled to do a race bicycle race in Richfield on Saturday, which was right next to that fire, and that race was canceled because of the other fire that's going in that same area. That has hit a lot of area in sort of Millard County area, but that whole region has just been hit really hard.
Well, the state forester said they're still flooding from that fire.
Yeah.
So from last year. So maybe you haven't seen it yet, but there are some areas at least. So this article is saying Utah's economy will suffer millions in losses from crucial industries. So of course we know tourism is going to be hit hard because of the fire down in, what is it, in Beaver? Where's the Eagle Point? Is that Beaver?
Yes, I think that was the Beaver fire.
Right, so we know that that's going to be a real economic hit there. So just the cost of paying for the fire, I know that next week I'm just 100% confident that the Utah legislature will be talking about financial numbers next week. Outdoor recreation. Utah's outdoor recreation industry has 72,000 jobs. That's a lot that is supported by the outdoor recreation.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to affect the tourism industry as well, because people come into these areas and then they look different than they did a year or two ago. And you certainly can't even enter them when there's fire or smoke damage. I think it's really affected some of our national parks and that. Although I think it's probably been a good summer for most of them that are not affected by the fire. You know, and you just
know it's been really hot.
You just hope, you hope that there's some wind or something to blow the smoke out. And between the smoke and the heat and the dry air, it's just been a rough time for Utah this year, especially that central southern part of the state.
You want magic wind because
I know.
You want wind that'll blow the smoke out but won't blow the flames.
Right.
So, okay, another area of the economy that's going to take a hit are the ranching operations that have been impacted. Also, wildlife in the area. We know at least 100 cattle died in the Wide Mouth 2 fire. That has an impact, right? So it's interesting.
I wasn't aware of that. That's tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the suffering. I mean, I don't know cattle, but good heavens, getting burned in a fire.
Well, and today, so we've been talking a lot about back to school, but today they're going back to school in Beaver, down there, of course, where they had the big Cottonwood fire and the flooding. So one of the things that they've really been focused on with Beaver City itself, it has one high school and one elementary school. Each one has just over 400 students. So to me, that is so tiny, right? But they're really focused on making it normal for the kids as they go back to school today.
And good for them. I mean, that's what you want to do, is the kids, hey, you're back to school, the community's together. Let's treat this like a school year and get everybody happy and into the whole back to school environment and whatnot. I mean, that's what you have to do, I think, in an area like that. And good for Beaver. I mean, the Beaver County officials and the Beaver City officials have been so amazing. They've been great with us, just talking to us about what's going on.
Yeah.
But the things that they suffered with the fire and then the flooding, and they were completely related to one another, and it just really shocked that area. That mean there were evacuations, issues with the water, whatnot. They seem to have everything under control now, hopefully.
Well, so speaking of going back to school, right, I'm seeing some news stories talking about parents who are expressing that their kids are worried about rain. And so they're going back to school on a rainy day, right? And they're worried about it. And what the school district has done is they've really engaged everybody who works at the school. So it's principals, it's secretaries, teachers, cafeteria staff. They have been working with them, talking to them about how to look out for the students who might look like something's bothering them, and to not just leave them alone, but actually step in and ask them how they're doing, how things are going.
And normally you wouldn't think about kids being troubled by rain, but when it's significant, it's coming down hard, and they're probably thinking,
and they just saw that flooding.
Yeah, I wonder what's happening at home. I wonder what this is doing to my neighborhood.
That's right. So coming up next on Inside Sources, the percentage of wildfires in Utah started by humans has now fallen well below the national average. Yay, us. The bad news is it's still in the hundreds. So the lasting effects we've already talked about a little bit. The wildfires will continue. So Utah Fire Watch, our coverage will continue after this.
If you're between 55 and 64, this could be one of the most important 6 minutes of your day. Medicare may still be a few years away, but avoid overpaying for health insurance now and ahead. Right now, many Utah residents are missing out on healthcare options that could significantly reduce their monthly costs. Marketplace plans with subsidies, short-term healthcare coverage that can bridge the gap for up to 3 years, and low-cost indemnity plans that could potentially save you hundreds or $1,000 plus per month. The question is, how much could you be saving? Find out at a free educational event at the Murray Library on August 25th at 6 p.m. You'll learn about your options, get your questions answered, and discover whether you're paying more than you need to. Visit PlanWellUtah.com now. Seats are limited and registration is required. Go to PlanWellUtah.com right now to reserve your spot. That's PlanWellUtah.com. Don't overpay for health insurance or Medicare. Start saving today.
Hey Utah, have you heard? Nuclear energy might be coming to our state. Now, before your brain jumps straight into sci-fi movies, let's talk about what nuclear actually does. Nuclear technology helps power our nation's submarines, supports life-saving cancer treatments, and produces reliable electricity for millions of homes. That said, nuclear power also comes with some common misconceptions. Don't worry, we get it. Here's a fun fact. You're exposed to more radiation eating bananas than you are living near a nuclear power plant. And get this, a lifetime supply of nuclear energy fits into a single soda can. Despite what some people believe, nuclear energy is safe, clean, and incredibly efficient. But don't just take my word for it. Energy decisions matter, and Utahns deserve the facts. Learn more about nuclear and what it can mean for you. Visit energy.utah.gov/nuclear.
Start your day informed and entertained by subscribing to the Utah Policy Newsletter. I put that together. Every weekday morning, you can get a comprehensive list of the top local and national stories, a little bit of world stories, politics, environment, business, housing, health, and so much more. Plus, a little bit of fun. Go to utahpolicy.com and hit that subscribe button today.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
911, tell me exactly what happened. My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources. Utah Fire Watch.
Well, while the cooler temperatures and the wet weather could help firefighters across the state today, I'm sure that they will. The overall risk of fire remains high. We're still in August, and it's still pretty hot, and even more so, the risk of flooding in burn-scarred areas remains high.
But there is a little bit of good news, and that is that Utah's percentage of human-caused fires has fallen well below the national average. Now, we can't get too complacent or pat ourselves on the back too much. It's still a high number.
Yeah, the national average is something like 85 to 90%, and Utah's has
crazy high.
Dropped to around 50% or pretty close to that. I mean, it was – the thing that's interesting, Holly, is a month ago we were talking about this, and human-caused fires were in that 60-70% range.
It was 85% in June, if you can believe it.
Right. And so we've dropped just in that period of time, 2 months. So, I mean, lightnings and whatnot have caused fires, but I don't know what the reason is. I think there's some logical explanations for it, but it's great.
So we now have 841 fires so far this year, burning almost 537,000 acres. But of those, 428 were human caused and 358 were natural caused. 55 we don't know yet. So it's the KSL actually did a story about this, KSL.com, and they talked with Kelly Wickens, the wildfire prevention and communication specialist for the Utah Division of Forestry, and they said, look, there's various reasons that number can go down. Lightning, as you mentioned, is the most common factor, and while the percentage of human-caused fires has dropped since June, the number of new fires has not. So we're still having a lot of fires. It's just that we're not having as many, and so proportionally, of course, the number has gone down. The percentage has gone down.
And you have to think that education and what we're talking about and people being advised as to what's causing fires and being told, hey, you can be held responsible for these, not necessarily that as a threat, but just people understanding that, hey, you could cause a fire and you may be on the hook for it financially. I think people are thinking more and more about walking away from a campfire situation or shooting a gun in a range where you've got nothing behind you.
In fact, I remember several fires started because of target shooting earlier in the year. Yeah.
And so after you see a couple of those in the media, you're like, okay, I don't want to be the next one.
Right.
Because you could be on the hook. Because after you know about the danger of it, I mean, a lot of people don't think of target shooting as being something that causes a fire. Of course, it does. Mm-hmm. But after you see one or two happening, and then you're target shooting, you're on the lookout. You're on the alert. Like, hey, I need to be careful about this.
Yeah.
Same with leaving your campfire alone. We used to just kind of throw some dirt over it and take off.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Right. So the two biggest fires in the state, the Wide Mouth 2 and Babylon, they were both started by lightning, and they've burned more than 100,000 acres each. Combined, it's almost 250,000 acres between just the two of them. So one of the things that could be a factor is, as you mentioned, people being more aware, but we also could see impacts from the crackdown on the fireworks. I think that had an impact. It's also possible that the heat kept more people inside and avoiding outdoor recreation. I think that might be part of it. Still, we've had, 428 fires that are human caused this year, and we need to do better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it made a lot of sense and probably had some favorable results that a lot of communities and jurisdictions said, hey, we're going to ban fireworks this year.
I agree.
That almost certainly made a difference. If you look at national average versus Utah, those numbers are so significant that something had to go into that equation. And the fact that maybe people, like I said before, with respect to other things that cause fires, okay, I'm lighting off fireworks. I need to be especially careful this year. I need to make sure that I'm doing things in a way that are not going to cause a fire.
So also, I think with the wildfires this year, we've seen, it's hard to avoid the smoke. I mean, I think almost everybody is aware, right, that the state has kind of been on fire. But you mentioned that higher percentage. I was thinking Spokane, too, where they had to evacuate, 80,000 people, and they've lost 800
awful.
buildings.
Yeah.
That was human caused.
Yeah, and it wasn't a big fire, but it was so close to a jurisdiction. It wasn't a big...
Compared to us, right?
Big, acreage
7,000.
fire. Right,
yeah.
But, I mean, the harm that it caused, because it was, right next to a fairly large municipal area.
I wanted to talk a little bit, too, about wildfire behavior that can really endanger firefighters. And I saw this article this morning in Reuters, and it said that the U.S. wildfire season firefighter entrapments have hit a 20-year high. So an entrapment is where, just what it sounds like, that firefighting personnel are being overrun and trapped by wildfires. So we've had 6 deaths this year. We've had dozens of injuries, and the full year average is 9 total, but we've had 12 entrapments, 12 situations where firefighters found themselves trapped by flames.
And we talked to an expert about how they carry equipment to help them if they get in that situation to try to survive. But of course, some of these fires are so horrific that there's nothing you can do if you're trapped. But it was just almost sickening to think about a firefighter who's fighting a fire that's in front of them. They think they have it under control. They're working on it, and all of a sudden they turn around and it's flown over their head, and the fire now is behind them, and there's no way out. They're completely surrounded by fires. And what do you do in that situation? You put some shield on and hope that it'll pass, but sometimes it doesn't. And we've had numerous 12 firefighters die. I think we had just several in the Utah, Colorado, Arizona area.
Yeah, we had 4.
Yeah.
We've had 6 deaths total, and 4 of them were on that Colorado-Utah border. 3 of them, I think, died right away, and the 4th died in the hospital a few days later. But it has been also a really intense fire season. So this was a really interesting stat to me. Across the country, we've burned 6.4 million acres, right? We've done 500,000 acres here in Utah.
Right.
Across the country, 6.4. It's the highest August 12th level on record. It's about 5 times the area burned in Europe this year. And that really surprised me because Europe has been on fire also. France, Italy, the UK. I mean, there are places where these massive wildfires, it looks like, and yet the acreage they've burned is not nearly what we have seen burn in the U.S.
Yeah, I think that U.S. acreage could engulf an entire European country. I mean, it was so big.
Yeah.
Of course, we have a lot of land. If you think about what's happened, if you include Canada in that equation,
yeah.
I mean, they've got so much open land. We do too. I mean, just in the state of Utah, what is it? Something like 2/3 or 3/4 of our state is federally owned.
Yep,
I mean,
that's
it's
right.
open land, grazing land. It just when it burns, it continues, and it's hard to control it.
So in the U.S., we've had 46,500 wildfires. It's the highest number in over a decade. So it means our firefighters are out there for longer periods of time. Right now, the whole West is in a drought, so they're drier. It's more extreme fire conditions. And around a quarter of this year's entrapments involved helicopter-borne firefighters, so they're literally dropping in to fight the blaze to create fire breaks, and they've gotten trapped.
And we even had a helicopter-related fatality this year here in Utah, not from being trapped, but just the helicopter got in a bad situation, probably couldn't see what they were doing. We don't know the full extent of what caused that, but we do know that 2 pilots were killed. And that wasn't very long ago.
Oh, last week.
Right,
We still have, last Friday, actually, so it's been less than a week.
Right.
We still have our flags at half-staff.
Right.
So, look, I think it's important to remember that even though we are getting some rain and hallelujah, this is not going to be the end of the fire season in Utah or across the West. And so, I think the people who are, what do they call them? Hot shots out there fighting fires. I mean, they are also in danger, and it's really hard, hot, dirty work.
Certainly the weather's better. I mean, it's cooling down. The evening temperatures are way down. And Matt Johnson told us yesterday how much that really helps the fire conditions when the air is a little bit dry, or a little cooler, a little bit wetter, I should say. And the fires don't spread to the same extent they do during a hot day. And then the rains. I mean, let's just hope that those continue. We need the water so badly right now. Well, next up on Inside Sources, an investigation into claims of insider trading. It's going to be kind of a theme for us this morning, but it's all over the land that was cut from the Bears Ear and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monuments. We'll have a talk about what this investigation is going and why people think what happened here is insider trading when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, kids in Beaver County are going back to school today, just weeks after we saw damaged or destroyed in the Cottonwood fire and subsequent flash flooding. School leaders say they're focused on helping students feel a sense of normalcy after the difficult summer. Washington County schools also resume class today. 7th graders in the Midvale City School District start tomorrow. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Iran and the U.S. are no closer to negotiating for the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign minister said the U.S. is miscalculating their strategy in the strait. A U.S. blockade is in place and efforts have been made with Gulf nations to reopen the strait.
One option, of course, would be for the U.S. military to force it open, but that would be a substantial
escalation. I do believe the U.S. military could do it. It could cause a lot of casualties, and there might be no end state planned. I mean, we might have to stay persistently in key terrain that would allow that to happen, and I don't think the American people would really want to see that to be the case. The other thing is to provide so much economic pressure against the regime that they come back to the table with something the United States could accept.
ABC News contributor Mick Mulroy reporting. Your money at this moment. The Dow is off 116 points at this hour. We're at 53,653. But the NASDAQ is up 172 points. That's a little more than 0.6%. Coming up, rain and cooler temperatures. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:31. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
4 weeks from now, you can look a lot different. Your energy can be different. Your confidence can be better. Your weight can come down. And the way your summer clothes fit will look better. We still have a couple weeks of summer. And that's what the Soda Dynamic Diet can help you do, help you lose weight. A degreed nutritionist will help you build a plan around your body. Call 866-800-SODA, S-O-T-A. Mention KSL News Radio, and you can get those first 4 weeks free. Remember, Soda gives you a plan that has coaching and accountability to let you lose the weight. No shots, no pills, just a healthy, natural way to lose weight and keep it off. Again, call 866-800-SODA. Mention KSL News Radio. You get 4 free weeks. I hooked up with Soda in April this year, lost almost 30 pounds, and I've been able to keep it off for, 4 months? It's been great. I like the fact that it was based on diet. It was based on things that I could do at home, and I've learned a lot from it. I'm going to continue. I'm at a weight I want to stay at, and I am committed to doing that for the rest of my life thanks to Soda, S-O-T-A, because Soda has been, for me, state of the art.
This is Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't wait. End your tax nightmare now.
So I needed a tax attorney because of my outstanding balance. It was like $59K. I got the letter from the IRS stating that we could seize your house. And my son lives with me and he's also on the house. You know, I didn't take those threats lightly. As a mom, I'm like, yeah, you're not going to take my kids' stuff. So I did find Jordan Wilcox, and I decided to give him a call.
Let us fight the IRS for you.
So the IRS, I owe them $59,000, and my settlement was $560. I actually cried. I felt like the weight of the world came off my shoulders.
This is Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com. endtaxworry.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Both the crashes that we had in Utah County have cleared off the road, so I-15 looks clean and clear all through Utah County. It is still slow, though, southbound I-15 coming from North Salt Lake, starting near Beck Street and reaching all the way down past Warm Springs Road. Southbound I-215's west belt, also pretty slow approaching I-80. Those delays start as you pass 1700 north. But I-80 through Parley's Canyon looking clean and clear both directions. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air. We got this. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be rainy with showers across the state. Highs around 81 degrees. Tomorrow, much of the same. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 72 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, sometimes you read a story that makes you want to scratch your head and say, are people really this dumb? If this turns out to be true, this next story is really mind-boggling in, like, why did people think they could get away with this?
Yeah, so what we're talking about is an issue that's now being investigated, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Energy Fuels Company, their CEO and chairman bought thousands of shares of stock just a few days before President Trump downsized Bears Ears National Monument in southeastern Utah. This Denver-based company operates White Mesa Mill, the last conventional uranium processing site in the nation, which is about a mile from where the Bears Ear boundary was before Trump slashed the monument by 90%. What we've learned here is this. On July 7th, 2026, just a few days before Trump shrunk the size of Bears Ears, CEO Ross Bappu bought 74,000 shares of Energy Fuels, the largest insider purchase of stock in the company's history, according to a news release issued by the House Natural Resources Committee. The trade bumped his ownership to 41%, and the board chair, Bruce Hansen, also bought 4,000 shares the next day. Less than a week later, Trump shrunk the monument by 1.24 million acres.
So now lawmakers are claiming that the way the monument boundaries were redrawn gives a huge benefit to Energy Fuels. And of course, their response is, no, it doesn't. And their written response is that they were unaware of any evidence supporting claims of wrongdoing in the reference letter, and that it strongly rejects any suggestion that the company or its executives engaged in any improper conduct.
So I think it's important to note this also, that the White Mesa Mill, where this this company holds the ownership in, has never been in Bears Ear. It holds no properties in Bears Ear, mining claims, anything in the monument, and that it was about a mile away from the former boundary of the monument, but it was not within the boundaries of the monument. So I think what congressional Democrats are looking at is, well, but moving the boundary of the monument may have made it more accessible to get into these mining claims and whatnot.
Well, so I'm looking at a story from Arizona Public Radio, actually, because they're saying, even though they're saying, look, we don't hold any property in Bears Ears, what they're saying is in 2017, they actually testified, wrote to the Interior Department saying, quote, there are many other uranium and vanadium, I guess that's how you say it, deposits located within the Bears Ears boundaries that could provide valuable energy and mineral resources in the future. I mean, so even almost a decade ago, they were saying, look, within the current boundaries, there are possibilities for us to be able to get in there and mine.
And they're also looking at a presentation that was filed in July with the Securities and Exchange Committee. That company posted this: we have strong government support as one of its competitive advantages. I mean that it's irony if nothing else. But the Department of Defense had issued a $725 million loan to the company in June to support developing rare earth elements. And rare earth elements are obviously big right now in this country, especially when we get a lot of those from other countries. And we've decided, rightly, I believe, we need to start developing our own sources here than rely on other countries. So the rare earth elements, and of course, what vanadium is one of those. Uranium is its own, prize that we want to covet and to get as much as we can. Not many mines and mills in this area, part of the country, really in the country at all, still do that. But Utah's got some resources here for that development.
Yeah, the letter, though, being sent by House Democrats, it said, as you mentioned, this strong government support that they referenced in July. They referenced that, too, and say this demonstrates close coordination and communication with the Trump administration, which may have enabled you to receive privileged information about when the Bears Ears announcement would come. And so this is just barely the beginning, but it is an open investigation. In fact, you can go to the Natural Resources Committee, the Democrats, their specific site, because they have a whole press release about this.
So I don't mean to imply that anything inappropriate happened here. I think that the Democrats are looking into this, and the singular question that's going to be asked is this: what did these two executives know on June or July 7th or 8th when they purchased shares, if anything, that encouraged them to do that? Because the one purchase of 74,000 shares, the largest purchase ever, was significant, and the timing of it was suspect. If
less than a week,
if Trump reduces the size of the monument that quickly, it's like, whoa. I mean, you have to look at that and think, did he know something? And if so, how are you going to prove what these individuals knew? I mean, was there some email saying, hey, we're going to shrink the monument in a couple of days? I mean, was somebody tipped off? And if so, how are you going to prove that? But if somebody was tipped off, if they knew that, and I'm not saying they did, if they were advised in some respect that the monument was about to be shrunk and they purchased it at that time, that would be suspect. We all knew, however, I will say this, that Trump was going to shrink those monuments.
Sure.
What we didn't know was how much and when. And so the timing is especially suspect. But had somebody just purchased that right after the election and thought, well, Trump's going to shrink. Trump's going to shrink the monument. I'm going to buy some shares. That's your own insider trading, your own research. That would be significant. But to do so based on, hey, it's going to happen next week, let's jump on the bandwagon.
It's interesting, and I have, I guess, legal questions about how that insider trading information moves forward, because there's been so many instances, it feels like, where there's at least accusations of insider trading. But one of the things that the Natural Resources Committee points out in their letter is that 2 Utah laws took effect in May that fast-track permits and fund critical mineral processing where that company's mill already operates. So on June 18th, they secured a $725 million loan. You already referenced that. Right. And 2 weeks after the monument shrank, the company broke ground on a mill expansion. May all be coincidental.
Yeah. I mean, that Trump has made clear that he wants to develop those resources, and that, and we all know that opening that area up allows for that. Another factor we haven't talked about that I think is as important as anything else is how this affects the indigenous communities down there, because Bears Ears is an area that is sacred to them.
Yeah.
And mining and milling and mineral extraction in that area is sacrilege to some people. I mean, you're destroying the land. You're doing things to the area that's been sacred to them for years. And I think that the Native American community felt like that designation, which was the reason for the Antiquities Act in the first place by a president to set aside area, was to preserve their land and preserve its integrity.
Well, you mentioned that, and there's actually an article that I saw this morning. This one is in NPR, and about nuclear power specific to the White Mesa Mill. So nuclear power ramps up uranium mill and tribal health concerns, right? Because they're there right in that area. So this doesn't have anything to do with the insider trading potential, but it does have to do with the White Mesa Mill and the native population, indigenous population that lives there. They're very concerned about what's happening as they ramp up additional production of uranium.
It's going to take a while to do that. I mean, I used to be a mining metallurgical engineer. It's not like you just get a mine running and you have to wonder what is mine running in a week or a month or maybe even a year.
Well, they have one. They're expanding
right,
it, though, so maybe
but getting that
faster
up going is going to be a little bit of a problem. And who knows, a future administration may change things again. But they may be fast tracking that, like you say.
So next on the program, this story is just really funny to me. So a U.S. senator is, and I put it in air quotes, mourning the death of his 49-year-old Hoover vacuum, which he named Beth. So this has us wondering, what weird random objects have you named in the past? A car, a house, a blender? Have you ever given anything inanimate a name? Text us at 57500 and we'll chat more after the break, but keep it appropriate.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Picture this. You pull into your driveway, and for the first time in a long time, you love what you see. Beautiful new siding, bright energy-efficient windows, gutters that protect your home year-round, and a deck that makes the backyard feel brand new. Not someday, not after one more year. With RGS Exteriors, the home you've been wanting can start today.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
Progressive presents the Museum of You.
We begin our tour with a unique piece, a relic from the early big screen television era. Remarkable. Next, we find a juicer, which historians believe has only ever been used once. And finally, compact discs from the emo era. A rare find indeed.
Some things should be history, but until then you could protect what's important to you and save by bundling your auto insurance with a renter's policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The new Inside Sources.
Very sad. But today we are bidding adieu to a 49-year-old vacuum named Beth. And I'm serious. U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa has announced the death of his trusty tan Hoover vacuum cleaner with the burgundy cloth dust bag that he named Beth.
I just think that's so funny. But it also got us thinking about the names that we sometimes give random objects. Again, we're asking you to weigh in. What inanimate objects have you given a name to? A car, a house, your toaster, your floor robot? Text us at 57500.
And so far, the responses have been great, 90% of which we cannot read on the air.
No,
but
stop.
they're fun. They're a lot of fun. I have a car. It's a Tesla. I'm embarrassed to say, but it's a great car, and I named it Ruby because
it's red.
Tesla required us to have a name, so I thought, okay, I'm going to call it because for my app. What's the name of your car? What do you call it? So,
are you serious?
Ruby, yeah. So it's
Gosh.
Ruby, and so when I say, hey, well, let's take Ruby, that's what we take.
So we have a lot of texters weighing in, and I really love this. So. I'm going to go through a few of them, but they are fun. So one texter says, my friend named my transplanted kidney that I received Bertha. So Bertha the kidney. One texter says they named their Mustang Slick, their RVs named Buddy, Beastie, and now Beauty. Okay, awesome. This texter says, I'm a female that drives a black and black car, 2 SS convertible Camaro 50th anniversary named Medusa.
Ooh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I know.
I had an old truck that I restored a couple of years ago, 79 Chev. Loved it. We called it the Gray Ghost. And everybody in the family knows it as the Gray Ghost.
So we have a couple at least that have named their floor vacuums. So one texter says Dobby because he's the little house elf. One says Dusty. So in our house, we did name our floor robot Slurpee because it slurps stuff off the floor. So my daughter named hers Eva after the Disney movie, right? Where it's Eva. What is it? Wall-E. Yeah, Wall-E, the robot. So you don't know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
But Eva is a little robot and very cute. So that's what my daughter named hers.
I had surgery a couple years ago, and I had taken some anticoagulants, and I got hurt, and I had this huge welt on my arm. It was just this big thing that grew. It was awful. My wife named it Wilson. And so every time Wilson would come back, this Bursa, I think it was called. It was
wow.
Anyway, that's gross, but
wow.
it had a name.
So you mentioned Chevy. This one, this texter says they named their 1966 Chevy pickup Betsy.
Ooh.
Another texter named their car Gunther when they were growing up. Another one named Rockaball Balls, Bally and Pinky. Now, that reminds me of Wilson, the most famous volleyball, right? Do you remember that
movie?
movie?
Yes, of course.
Castaway?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so Tom Hanks was the pilot. He got stranded on an island, and he had the volleyball. It was named Wilson. He ends up with a bloody handprint on it. It looks like a face. You don't remember that?
No idea.
Okay, well, volleyball is Wilson.
But Wilson is a company that makes balls, so maybe it had the name on it.
I think so, right? Okay, here's a couple more. When I met my deceased husband, he had a name for his truck, Big Red. He asked me what my truck's name was, and I hadn't thought of naming my cars. So
you got to name it
now.
now.
They said, she said, we ended up naming it Quicksilver, and after that, we named every car Hulk, JetBlue, Goldie, Ocean, and Howley Holly. And now she says she's trying to figure out a name for the car she got this year.
That's fun. At least you know what you're talking about. Let's take Howley Holly to dinner tonight.
That would be me.
Yeah, that's you. Right. Yeah, sorry.
This one says, my husband named his old gray van the Scud. This is from Janice. And then one says, my Roomba is Rosie, which they say shows their age. But I will say I had a commenter on my Facebook post where I put it there. Sue said she's named her vacuum Rosie, and it's from the Jetsons. So do you remember the maid in the Jetsons?
Oh, yeah.
She's kind of a robot, and she vacuums, so she named her robot
how
Rosie.
appropriate is that?
Although she said, I don't think I'm going to mourn when that vacuum dies.
Yeah. We've heard a lot about those Roombas. And
There's another one that's
problems.
Roomba Rosie,
Right.
their Roomba, like for the maid in Jetsons. So a car named Ruby. Another texter says, I've named every one of my cars Kitten, Tempest, Spike, Gigi. Give them names. They will always get you home and keep you safe.
There was a family that had a cabin that was close to a fire here in Utah.
I know.
And they named their cabin
Kevin.
Which was cool. I mean, I'll bet one of the kids, when they were little, when they said, let's go to the cabin, and maybe one of the 5-year-olds said, Kevin, thought it was I was trying to think of why you'd name your cabin Kevin. But they named their cabin. I hope Kevin's okay. If that family's listening, tell us how Kevin survived the wildfire, because they were very upset about it at the time.
They're still waiting. I haven't seen an update. We have another one that says, this is from Eric, who says, we have a tree named Jeremy. Okay, I've never named a tree either. I don't, except for, I guess, the floor vacuum. We just don't name inanimate objects. My family growing up, though, my parents name all their cars, and they think it's really weird that I don't name my cars. It's like, yeah, no, I don't name my cars.
Yeah, I mean, I only did because I had to, but we most of the time when you name your car, it's not an appropriate word.
So we have a texter that says they call it Shark Week at their house because they have a shark iron, a shark steam mop, and a shark vacuum. And then gosh, I don't know if I can read this one.
Uh-oh.
Producer Andy. So we do have a texter that said their dad had a zit on his back that every time they tried to pop it, it would always come back. So they called it Old Faithful.
That's gross. That's disgusting.
Dwayne says their vacuum is named Hector, the garbage collector, and they just call it Hector for short.
That's cute.
One texter said they had a purple Grand Dam. They named it Barney. I get that. Okay, I can get that. And then another texter says my wife named her 13-year-old Acura Annie. Acura Annie.
Oh.
That's cute.
How cute. I think my kids had names for things, but just because they couldn't think of anything else, so we would have names. We always had nicknames for restaurants, and I've had probably, this will sound crazy, I probably had half dozen or more Harley Davidson motorcycles.
Did you name them all?
Very inappropriate.
Oh,
because they're demonic and they had these weird graphics on them, and so my wife would give them all names that were evil. She thought they were all evil. My motorcycles.
I do want to just go back to Chuck Grassley naming his vacuum cleaner. It's not just the name to me. It's like this vacuum cleaner lasted 50 years.
Oh, you'd be sad.
I think now we have planned obsolescence, right? Which means nothing lasts that long anymore.
Right, yeah. Just plan on replacing it every 5 to 10 years and throwing it away. That's how we do things now.
So
I guess if you had a vacuum for 50 years, you'd move several times, and it had some history with probably
it did have some history.
His marriages, maybe.
It did have some history. That. So he only had the vacuum cleaner for 34 years, but for the 15 years before that, it lived at his mother-in-law's house. And he said it was named after one of his former staffers and has been on his social media, which I didn't even know, numerous times. So Beth has made an appearance in Senator Grassley's social media multiple times. I don't know if he was doing stuff about cleaning up D.C. Like, I don't even know because he's not my senator. I don't know. But it started sparking, and finally he said we have to say goodbye
before it blows up the house, right? And causes a real problem. Well, that's fun.
We have a couple more.
Oh, good. Go
We're
ahead.
almost out of time. When my 40-year-old son was little, he called those little people toys Jodies. He said, I have no idea where he got it, but it stuck through 3 more kids. And she says, I still have Jodies for my grandkids. Anyway, another one says, anytime my husband says something dumb, I asked him if he's talking to the mouse in his pocket, the mouse I named Ferdinand. So another one says, I named my deer rifle Skinner after my dad who customized it. Kay says, years ago we had a Vega car, so we named it Darth Vega. Of course.
That's great.
One says, I had a Rambler I named Rose after the song Ramblin' Rose. And then one of them named their PC Sexy Gamer. All
there
right.
You go.
That's a good time for us
All right.
to call it a stop.
Hey, well, the next hour Inside Sources, Smile. Your license plate is on camera. They're flock cameras. They're all over the place. They're creating a little controversy here at home and around the country. We'll talk more about this supposed right to privacy, what it does to that. Also, back to school coverage, talking about school lunches. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Utah naloxone is marking an important milestone. More than 500,000 doses of naloxone distributed statewide. KSL News Radio Spencer Mahan has more.
Utah naloxone says that each of the 529,000 doses they've distributed represents the chance to save a life by someone who happened to be in the right place at the right time. They say the milestone has been built on compassion, noting that Utahns are choosing to look out for one another. Utah naloxone also says that they've received reports of almost 15,000 overdose reversals.
Co-founder of Utah Naloxone, Dr. Jennifer Plum, says the milestone belongs to Utahns, saying positive change begins with survival. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A conference is scheduled in federal court in New York tomorrow, where prosecutors and defense lawyers for murder suspect Luigi Mangione are reportedly going to discuss a plea deal. ABC's Josh Margolin has more.
People always complain when they hear the term plea deal, plea bargain, which suggests that somebody accepts a lower crime and pleads guilty to that lower crime in return for not going ahead with a trial. Mangione could, in fact, go ahead and plead guilty to the top charge. That could be what the federal prosecutors are insisting on. We don't know. Everybody is declining to comment.
Mangione is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The Utah Jazz released their 4-game preseason schedule. The Jazz will start out on the road against the Nuggets on Sunday, October 4th, and return to Salt Lake to play Denver on the 6th. They'll then play the Spurs on October 12th at home, and then head to Phoenix to play the Suns on the 16th. The NBA regular season will start 4 days after that. Can't wait for Jazz season. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is down 91 points. We're at 53,679. Coming up, rain across the state today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Looking to transform your kitchen or bathroom? Discover the difference at AMC Building Materials. New arrivals are here. Explore the latest shaker-style cabinets, sleek European-style flat panel cabinets, and beautiful new quartz countertops in today's most popular colors. With a 25,000 square foot showroom and a warehouse in Salt Lake City, AMC keeps a wide selection of the most popular cabinets and countertops in stock. So many in-stock cabinet styles are available for same-day purchase and pickup, making it easy to start your project right away. Enjoy factory direct pricing, free design, free in-home measurements, and expert installation. Most remodeling projects are completed in as little as 10 days. Visit the AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West or schedule your free estimate today at amckitchensaltlakecity.com. AMC Building Materials. Come see the difference today.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say.
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse because you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses,
here it comes,
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth 2 in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. Does, you know.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, all our freeways have cleared up. It's smooth sailing on I-15 between Ogden and Provo. Maybe a little slow northbound as you pass 31st Street in Ogden on I-15, but nothing too terrible there. I-80 is clear between Tooele and Summit counties. We do have delays in the usual places, though. Eastbound 2100 north in Lehigh, approaching 2300 west, and the 201 freeway in Magna, the regular scattered delays between 8400 west and 7200 west. For a limited time, tickets for most Utah Symphony Utah Opera performances are $29 or less. Don't wait. Prices go up after August 15th. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have rain and thunderstorms throughout the day today from northern to southern Utah, and the high in Salt Lake City will only be 81 degrees, 82 tomorrow with more possible showers, and then we start to dry out on Saturday. Right now, it's cloudy and 73 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, 1984 called and it wants its Big Brother cameras back. So, in all seriousness, Flock Cameras, and that is a company, there are others as well, but Flock Cameras have popped up around the state and the country, and there are a lot of people who are getting worried about it.
You know, it was 2 weeks ago, I'd never heard of these before, but on Inside Sources, I heard about Flock cameras. I'm like, what are these? It's brought up a lot of really interesting discussions about privacy. I mean, something I think about a lot, Fourth Amendment right to privacy.
Sure.
They've got government cameras up. People have real issues with a private company, this Flock, putting up these data collecting cameras.
So I just wanted to ask you just some questions about the concerns, because there are also people who are saying, look, these are actually a really good tool. In fact, law enforcement in Utah are saying that law enforcement officers, they're saying this has been really helpful for us.
Yeah, I mean, law enforcement will, if you think about your cell phone, for example, and your cell phone provider, that's not the government, but the government can access your cell phone. I mean, think about
and
that.
And track you.
That's how they've tracked numerous cases involving people who are accused of crimes by following their cell phone. And so the same with these Flock cameras. They're around. I don't know if the communities contract with them or they're just set up or whatever, but they're all over the place. My wife said there's one in our valley, up in Ogden Valley. I'm like, why? But I mean, why not anywhere? But they can monitor you. They can put your license plate. They can. I guess they can read the license plate, maybe even notify law enforcement that this car is stolen or this car, whatever. I don't know if they're that.
I think you have to ask them, right? I mean, I think there's an AI component. I don't know that there's any kind of automatic notification. I totally admit I could be wrong. But one of the things that I think is interesting is talking about this. So there's a Deseret News story about these Flock cameras today, and then there's one in KUER about Flock cameras being used, the data being used in 6,400 investigations since 2021, so just in the last 5 years. But in Provo, the Provo Police Department, they have a Captain Brian Taylor, who's the department's Operational Support Division Commander, and he said what this allows us to do is be more targeted, more specific, I guess, is the way. So he said, we actually, we think it offers greater privacy protection because we don't have to interact with the wrong people. We can narrow it down on to the specific suspects that we're looking for. And Brian Redd in Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City police chief, he says basically the same thing, right? So instead of saying, okay, well, that car that was involved in a hit and run was gray and we think it was a pickup, he said that's pretty broad. But when you are able to use these cameras and you feed it the specifics that you want it to look for, it makes investigations more efficient and makes them more accurate, he says.
Yeah, and I've seen law enforcement go door to door to people that have doorbell cameras. There was a burglary in your area, there was a homicide in your area, whatever it was. We saw a car that left, like you say, it was a red Ford Explorer. Well, let's find out if anybody has any better definition of it, and you can go door to door. People can tell you they'll give you that information or not, but law enforcement can also get a search warrant to the provider and get that information. And I suppose they could do the same with these Flock cameras. People are upset about them, though. People don't like the fact that there's this surveillance going on. I've heard of people, manipulating the cameras. Trying to destroy them, which is also not very smart.
So the Salt Lake City PD, by the way, uses a different system than Flock, but they're related. I do think it's interesting to talk about why are we okay with GPS tracking on our phones and we're not okay with license plate readers? And I understand it can go broader than that. And I also know there are cases of bad actors who were tracking their ex's law enforcement, et cetera. That's not good.
So let me tell you why. I think, and I'll cut
please.
you off here a little bit. So it's the reasonable expectation of privacy. It's the whole idea of that. If you have your cell phone and you know it's being tracked, you can avoid that.
Sure, turn it off.
By
Or turn off location.
Right, yes. Or turn off or don't take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But with your car, if you're driving it, you're being followed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I'm just surmising, that some people feel like, okay, once I get in my car, I don't have any choice. I am going to be tracked. I can't eliminate that. I can't prevent that. And so I can understand, not that I agree, but I can understand some people feeling like that's a little bit higher level of surveillance because I can't avoid it.
Mm-hmm. So let me just ask you a question, and this is coming from a texter, actually. So is there a right to privacy in the public space?
No. There's no
Okay.
reasonable expectation of privacy. I mean, if you're walking around at the Park City Arts Festival, as I was a week ago, people can
Be on surveillance cameras
people
or whatever.
can take pictures of me. They can follow me. They can do anything they want except, open the bag that I'm carrying
Right.
without something. So my expectation of privacy is limited to the things that are in the public view. We call it plain view, things that they can see. Even when a police officer pulls over a car, they can look inside the car and they can see an open container of a beer can. They can seize that without getting a warrant.
Right.
But if you're going into the glove box or the trunk,
Yeah, you can't
there's
do
a
that.
higher expectation of privacy. Plain view, plain
Yeah.
smell, plain sound. Those kind of things give officers. We're talking about law enforcement, of course, the government
Right.
intrusion
Right.
in being able to surveil and follow people and learn things about you that you would normally expect to be in your private life.
So I think it's interesting, really, because we've had, I don't know how much in Utah, but I know there have been license plate readers of some sort, right? Where, like, if you run a red light in some places, it'll take a picture of your license plate and you'll get a
Right.
ticket in the mail.
Right.
Right. So that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and I had a police officer tell me, and I don't know whether these occur anymore, but he said that they had something on their car where they could follow cars and they would read the license plates of the car in front of you. The law enforcement officer had to be behind it.
Sure.
And they could tell that car doesn't have insurance.
Right.
That
Right.
car.
Yeah,
that,
that's been away for a while.
Right. That license is expired.
Yeah.
Or that license is supposed to be on a green car and it's a red car. So maybe somebody switched it. Or
Right.
that car's stolen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
fine because your license plate, by definition, is open. I mean, it has to be. You get big letters on your
Yeah.
license plate so that it can be surveilled, so that
That's right. So it
police
can be read.
officers can look for it, right?
Yeah.
So you've given up your expectation of privacy to your
Yeah.
license plate.
Interesting.
License plate.
Yeah.
Not your driver's license, which
Yeah.
is in your pocket.
Interesting. I'm looking at the KUER article, and they talked with privacy policy analyst for Libertas, which is a think tank here, libertarian. And she says that she sees they're neither good nor bad. She sees them as a tool, but she says if they're used for a fishing expedition without justification, that can be a problem. And she said that under a 2023 Utah law, police can use these cameras in 4 circumstances: to apprehend someone with an outstanding warrant, to find a missing or endangered person, to locate a stolen vehicle, you mentioned that, and as part of an active criminal investigation. But she feels like active criminal investigation is pretty broad.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be to just follow somebody around or to see who's in your area or whatever. And I mean, you certainly wouldn't have police officers looking at a car and saying, "Oh, there's 3 Hispanics in that car. I'm going to find out what the story is." That would be highly inappropriate. There has to be something more than just, "Hey, you're in this area and we don't like the way you look."
So I think for me, I mean, I'm going to ask you, we only have a few seconds left. Is this type of license plate reader camera, how does it differ from external security cameras, for example? Does it?
It doesn't at all. And you see those all the time. Where
Yeah.
a parking lot, 7-Eleven
Sure.
has a parking lot camera.
Right.
Something
Home
happens in the
Depot.
parking lot, Home Depot, police say, "We want to see that." They'll contact Home Depot.
Yeah.
"Can we get your camera?"
Yeah.
"No, I'll get a warrant." "Yes, here's the video." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Even Ring doorbell cameras now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. A lot of ways that we're being watched all the time.
I don't know that's. Well, I guess it's the brave new world.
That's right.
I don't know. Well, up next on Inside Sources, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it might be a duck. Or in this case, If it looks like insider trading and it sounds like insider trading, it might be insider trading. So I want to do a Let's Ask the Attorney segment about the president's social media platform selling early access to official government announcements and the lawsuit that has now resulted. Stay tuned.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Guaranteed. Well, thanks to Xfinity, you don't have to worry about that part of your future now through August 24th. Get their best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats and finds and fixes issues before you even notice them. No annual contracts or commitments, no hidden fees, and the best equipment included. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Have you ever missed a segment of Inside Sources? You want to rehear a conversation or share something that we talked about? You can subscribe to the Inside Sources podcast. We upload each segment and the full show every weekday afternoon. Just go to kslpodcast.com or follow us wherever you get your podcasts.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources.
Okay, so I saw this story, Holly, and it really troubled me. I'm not sure what to make of it. I mean, I've been an attorney now for 44 years, and what I'm reading is something that makes me think, how does this not involve insider trading?
Well, we're talking about a new lawsuit against President Trump over a new feature of the Truth Social app. It allows organizations to pay for early access to the president's posts, including official government announcements. And I think we just saw this week that Truth Social, his whole media company, has lost a tremendous amount of money. But it's time for another Ask the Attorney. So break it down for us.
Yeah, so Trump Media, like you say, has lost millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars every quarter. Its stock has dropped from $62 to $10. But one of the things that Trump Media holds is Truth Social. It's Trump's posts that he makes. And he has allowed people to subscribe to Truth Social, and they will get his announcements before others will. So you can pay as much as $100,000 a month. Some Wall Street firms are paying that.
That's crazy.
So that they can get his information before he posts it on Truth Social. Now he's saying, hey, it's public information. It's just coming out. It doesn't really matter. Some people can get the jump on it if they'll pay. And some people are saying, how is this not insider trading? I'm reading a quote from Seth Stern, the chief advocacy for the Freedom of the Press Foundation, which filed the lawsuit that you're talking about. And he says this: a president selling priority access to news he himself generates for the benefit of a private company he himself controls is so blatantly corrupt and unconstitutional that it would have been hard to even fathom such a thing just a few years ago. That's the plaintiff in the lawsuit. So they have filed this lawsuit against Truth Social saying you can't do that. What you're doing is inappropriate and violates the Constitution.
So, okay, so what is the response? And I know that we haven't had a time for a response in court, but what is the Truth Media company, what do they have to say?
So what they're saying is, we give this information out, and in some instances we're only letting it out a little bit early before anybody else, so it's not really a problem. And he says that the information from President Trump is disseminated by countless platforms and news outlets, many of which are subscriptions, and you can buy those. Now left-wing activists are trying to wrongfully weaponize the courts to censor him and to harm our shareholders. That's what his company is saying. So they're saying, it's just information. You can get it a little early, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't give you some leg up on anything. Of course, people wouldn't pay for it if it didn't give them a leg up. There would be no
$100,000 a month.
Yeah, from Wall Street firms. I mean, come on. You're talking about information that you can get that will help you make decisions in terms of investments. I mean, think about this. He's going to make an announcement about the Iran war.
Sure.
Does that if you're going to invest in oil and gas stock, would that make a difference in your decision? Or he's about to announce tariffs against a certain country, maybe Canada, on motor vehicles. Would that make a difference if you're going to buy Ford or GM stock? I mean, those would be things that would be critical to know. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here because that's my job. But it is interesting that you would post information like that. In some respects, minutes before. Sometimes it's just a second or two before. It's different.
Well, I can't imagine that posting just a minute before makes much difference.
Yeah, and
it would have to be more than that.
Some of it is 6 hours before, so that's a little bit of a problem. Some of them they're claiming it's just a second or two before. I don't know how that would, unless you got your finger on the pulse or something, and you've got some AI system that allows you to invest in just a few seconds before the rest of the world gets it. But obviously, Trump makes decisions, and Congress does, and the courts do, and even locally, our legislature does. And if you knew about those decisions before they're announced, you could invest in a company. Utah's going
mining.
Yeah, Utah's going to go big in uranium, or Utah's going to go big in nuclear power.
Right.
Boy, I'm going to invest in a nuclear power company or solar power, whatever it is. I mean, the whole idea with insider trading is that you not benefit from information that would be that it's based on a source that you shouldn't have got it. So this lawsuit is. I was looking at what the argument is, and they say First and Fifth Amendment. So the First Amendment argument is
Would that be freedom of the press?
Yeah, the president's comments should be available to the press and the public on equal terms. Everybody should be able to have access to those. And then the Fifth Amendment argument, it's a stretch, but it says what they're saying, what the plaintiffs are saying is the Fifth Amendment prohibits charging unreasonable conditions for government benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I read the Fifth Amendment over and over before the show today. I don't see anything that says that, although it does say, you can't take a property without due process of law, and maybe it's some sort of a taking or something like that. I don't understand.
I think also I guess they're not. Are they raising the insider trading issue because
yes,
under what, the Fifth Amendment?
Yeah, under the First and Fifth, because
under both.
It violates. Well, what they're trying to do is shut it down and say, it creates the ability for insider trading. Mm-hmm. Here's the I know where you're going. Insider trading is against the law. This isn't insider trading. This is allowing people to do insider trading. It's the information that you give. So if, for example,
selling information, selling information,
right? So you're selling information. So you're if you trade on insider information, you're in trouble. But if I'm providing you insider information, I should be in trouble too. And that's the thing that it's going. They're saying, well, we're not. This isn't insider information. It's just what the president's about to do. Do with it what you want. And obviously, people are going to make decisions based on what they see, what the president's about to do. It's going to make a huge difference in what you do, I think.
So we've already talked about the prediction markets, right? Betting on things. So we know that there was the military member who bet on Maduro's capture, but he had insider information, right? And that you can do these prediction markets. So even if you're not doing things on the stock market, you could do it in the prediction markets potentially. Right. And say, well,
equally problematic though. Right.
Yeah. Right. If you're placing a bet and you had 6 hours of a head start, you could go place a bet on prediction markets. I don't know. That just seems.
Yeah. Let's say that this is for our listeners who may not understand insider trading. If you're about to bet on the Super Bowl and the starting quarterback of one team gets hurt, but nobody knows about it. Mm-hmm. And nobody's supposed to know about it. Mm-hmm. The team's keeping it under wraps.
Sure.
But they let a few people know this quarterback's hurt and he's not going to play. Mm-hmm. You're going to go bet against that team in a way you wouldn't have before because the line's about to shift. And that's insider information, and you can bet on that because you're privy to information that the rest of humanity isn't, and so you can bet on that based on that information. It doesn't mean you're going to win. It just means you're more likely to because the star of the game's not playing. Right. So that's an insider trading example in the sports world that probably happens more than you think.
So I looked up an article on this, and this is from the BBC. So this is coming from across the pond looking at this, and they're explaining why even just a few minutes of heads up, they say that it's mainly designed for what they call high-frequency algorithmic trading firms. And what they do is it's all automated, it's all electronic, and the algorithms can buy and sell much faster than humans, right? It's a case of, quote, blink and you'll miss it. So they're designed to make maybe a tiny profit, but because it's speed and volume, they can get really big returns for their firms.
Yeah, I mean,
so you don't need 6 hours.
Yeah, that's why you were saying, a couple minutes may not make a difference, but it probably
could.
Would.
Yeah.
If you've got somebody that's set up like you say that's willing to make a decision based on no time at all. I mean, to me, this seems like a real problem, and I'm surprised the administration would even go down this road. But there's a lawsuit that's been filed in federal court. A judge is going to decide if this violates the law, and if so, will he or she shut it down? My guess is they probably will. I think this looks, like you say, like a duck. I mean, I think it's a problem, but what do I know? It just seems problematic to me.
So just a really quick question: if the president were to say, or whoever is running Trump media, if they were to say, okay, we're going to take out all government information, so nobody can buy access to government information, but maybe it's who the president is going to endorse. Like, I don't even know. But it's not going to be government actions. Would that change it?
Yeah, sure. If he's going to post, I don't like Biden, or
right.
Obama did a dumb thing with his Iran nuclear deal.
So nothing with tariffs, nothing with war, nothing with U.S. policy. Maybe it could make a difference.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Right. If it's just him chatting or just dissing somebody or promoting somebody or something like that, I'm going to announce somebody's going to be my next U.S. attorney. Probably not something you could trade on, would make a difference. Well, in the next half hour on Inside Sources, we're not going to talk about any more insider trading today, but we are going to head back to school with food. Let's talk about free and reduced lunch programs and what parents need to know. We'll also chat about food allergies in schools and what teachers and school administrators can do to make schools safer for kids with allergies. That's all coming up next after news, traffic, and weather.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Sandy City voters will decide this November whether to approve a $30 million bond to buy and redevelop the former Crescent View Middle School. The City Council approved putting the measure on the ballot, but only after other proposed options to buy the land initially failed on votes. Councilmember Marcy Hausman says the decision now belongs to residents.
I know there's many potential decisions ahead, and yet those decisions only come before us should voters choose to support.
The 20-year bond would add about $58 a year to the property tax bill of an average Sandy homeowner. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A research team is studying maps in preparation for a trip to a remote island between Australia and Hawaii to see if they can find what became of Amelia Earhart.
16 specialists hope to find the answer to an enduring mystery, the disappearance of pilot Amelia Earhart during her round-the-world flight in 1937. The group plans an expedition to a remote Pacific island in October. Satellite images show intriguing shapes in a lagoon that could be Earhart's twin-engine Lockheed Electra.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. A Powerball ticket sold in Illinois matched all 6 numbers in Wednesday night's drawing, winning an estimated $1.04 billion jackpot. It is the largest Powerball jackpot so far this year and the 8th largest Powerball jackpot in the game's history. The winner has the option to take a lump cash payment of $450.5 million before taxes. Your money at this moment. The Dow is off 53 points at this hour. We're at 53,717. Coming up, a couple of days of rain. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Wow, this is the time of year when the temperatures are off the chart. And it's not the time for us to go into our backyards where it is so warm, fire up the hot grill, and then slap on a steak, and then stand there and try to make it taste as good as Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. First of all, it's impossible. So why not just go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for the best meal you have had all summer long? The steaks cooked to perfection, other wonderful entrees as well, from seafood to poultry, you name it, the side dishes, the desserts. You don't have to do the cleanup. You don't have to stand there over the hot grill. You just sit back in that air-conditioned comfort with the people you love, and you have a dining experience that you're going to remember. Hotel Park City up in Summit County, there's a Ruth's Chris there, and downtown Salt Lake City, 275 Southwest Temple.
One of the best things about Utah is sharing the outdoors with the people you love. Teaching your kids to fish, taking the family on their first real hike, camping under a sky full of stars. But when you're responsible for little ones, or anyone who depends on you, outdoor safety isn't optional. It's essential. Make sure everyone has enough water. Pack layers for changing weather. Choose trails that match your group's ability, not just your own. And always, always tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back. Because the best family adventures are the ones where everyone comes home with a great story and nothing more than tired legs. Outdoor safety is a family responsibility. Learn more at rescue.utah.gov. That's rescue.utah.gov.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's McKenna Rodriguez.
Still looking at 2 disabled vehicles on the road right now. One on southbound I-15 as you approach 3300 South. It's on the right shoulder and not affecting traffic. The other on southbound I-15 at the South Interchange, on the shoulder as well, not causing any delays. McKenna Rodriguez in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll get up to 81 degrees today with rain and thunderstorms popping up across the state. 82 tomorrow with more rain, and then we start drying out on Saturday with a high of 85. Right now it's mostly cloudy and 75 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well,
back to school. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Thank you. And you know what makes things really help a student at school? We know sleep, support, and food. So as we continue our back to school coverage this week, we wanted to shift our focus to food.
You need to send me back to school so I can do these stagers a little better. But we do want to talk about free and reduced prices for lunches and food allergies in classes. This segment, let's start with the lunches and just how important free and reduced lunches are and how available they are to parents and what they should know about this program.
Joining us in studio right now is Dr. Kelly Adams, Health Commissioner for the Utah PTA. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Adams.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So school lunches, we're old, so we remember school lunches. I think they were not as great as they are nowadays, but can you talk to us generally about what families can expect about school lunches, and then I want to talk about free and reduced.
Yeah, so our schools have continued to work to provide nutritious lunches for our kids to get some of the extra preservatives and dyes out of the food, and to make sure that that food that they are serving our children meet the standards for them to have a well-balanced meal while they're at school.
So tell us about, you mentioned preservatives and dyes. Those are things that we didn't even think about when I was going to school, but they're things that are now important when you're looking at lunches for young people, right? You're making a lot of decisions about foods that maybe we didn't consider 10 or 20 or 50 years ago.
And our legislature has passed legislation in the past couple of legislative cycles to minimize or not have certain preservatives and dyes in the foods that are available to students in school. So it's become a big issue as we kind of think of not only the food that's having food available to students, but also ensure that it is the most nutritious foods that we can provide to them in schools.
So I also know that right now Utahns are facing some of the highest levels of food insecurity. And there are free meal programs for students. I know it's just one small piece of what we can do for students, but can you tell us about that program and what parents need to know about that?
Yeah, so it is estimated that 1 in 5 Utahns are hungry. That is a statistic that has risen over the past couple of years as we've seen increased prices for food and other essential things like housing for families. And so in the 2025 legislative session, there was a bill that was passed that made school lunch free for children who qualified for reduced price lunches. So the federal government provides funding for students and their families who meet certain qualifications based on their income, and whether a lot of those families are already receiving supplemental food stamps or other government programs, but they also are making free lunch available. And now Utah has expanded that so that children who would qualify for reduced price lunch now receive free lunch, K through 12.
Great.
So it's been a few, Doctor, since I was in school, but we used to have to buy lunch tickets once a week, and you get 5, and then you give them to we called them the lunch lady. I'm just using that word. But, the person that was serving you the lunch, is it still, how does it work? I mean, how does a parent sign up for lunch, whether it's free or reduced price or you just paying for it?
Right. So everything's kind of electronic now in most of our school districts. So our kids have their lunch codes. And parents can talk to their schools. They can also look up their school districts. On the Utah PTA website, we have links for all the school districts in the state. And they can assist them in filling out the paperwork if they need to. So, most of the time, if you're already receiving SNAP benefits or food stamp benefits, you're going to automatically qualify. But to help those families receive the access that they need to ensure that their children are fed at least lunch at school. And that's what our Utah legislature has provided for right now. They still will not receive free breakfast, but breakfast, I think, is 30 cents. So... Oh, wow. And for some families, that still might be a lot, but it's going towards helping ensure that we don't have hungry kids in school. Because if you're hungry in school, you're not going to perform well in school.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about the breakfast, and you mentioned it's not included as part of this program. One of the things that I remember from the pandemic coming out of it is that there were breakfast and lunch available for all students across the state. What type of outcomes did you see any as looking at it from your perspective as the health commissioner for the Utah PTA? Did you see any kind of different outcomes with offering those free breakfast and lunches?
I certainly think that having expanded access to food, they also provided food for the children during summer break too. So you're not having that gap between the school year. I don't know if anybody has looked exactly at the data from that, but certainly expanding the access and having children be able to go and get their food. Because we've seen and had anecdotal stories of kids dumpster diving, looking for food to take home to their families. So it's not that mom and dad aren't preparing foods, feeding their kids breakfast or feeding their kids lunch. Oftentimes, there's just not food at home. And these kids want to take food home to their parents too. And so that access, because our most vulnerable populations, whether it be our kids, our elderly, or disabled, they're all facing this food insecurity issue.
Is there a level of sort of privacy and anonymity if a parent wants to sign up their kid for school lunch and they want the reduced or the free lunch? I mean, you don't get it. I know SNAP benefits are incredible, but when people are using them, the people you can see that you can watch that occurring. But when the kid goes to get their lunch, nobody knows whether they're paying for it or
no. And even provided for in this legislation was that the kids there shouldn't be any detrimental effect or them made an example of because they may have food debt. So they have. I know in Jordan School District where my kids attended, they had a lunch number. So you punch in the number. Right. So there's no lunch ticket. There's nothing to be said whether your lunch was free and your parents paid for your lunch.
Right. And I just registered my daughter going into junior high, and on her ID card, it's just a barcode. So they just scan it, and everybody has one, right? That's how you end up getting the lunch.
And is everybody eligible for breakfast in the same way?
No.
Okay.
So they initially wanted to make it breakfast and lunch, and when it came down to the end, it's just lunch right now.
Okay.
That's why I said that if you qualify for free breakfast, you're still going to get free breakfast.
Right.
But if you qualify for reduced price breakfast, you're going to have to pay that. However, there's this issue of food debt. So they can't turn the kids away.
Right.
So then there is food debt that accumulates within the schools.
Right.
And individuals are able to
Right.
donate to the schools, and it's tax deductible, or it donate through nonprofit organizations to help pay off that food debt for students in our states, because it can reach into over $1 million
Wow.
at the end
I'll
of the
bet.
school year.
Yeah.
So they can't turn children away from getting food.
All right.
Good news.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks.
so
Thanks
much.
for joining us,
Thank you
Dr.
for having
Kelly
me.
Adams. You're amazing. So next on Inside Sources, we're going to stick with the topic of food in schools, but we're going to talk about allergies. If you have a child with food allergies, what can you do to help keep them safe? What can teachers and staff do to help in potentially life-threatening situations? We're going to talk about that when we come back.
What if I told you 4 weeks from now, everything can feel different in your life? Your energy could be better, your clothes fit better, the scale is moving in the right direction. Well, Soda Diet Nutrition can help you start with real food, real coaching, and real results. You can get involved with them right now and get 4 weeks free when you call 866-800-SODA, S-O-T-A. Mention KSL News Radio. Your energy will come up, your confidence will come up, your weight will come down, your clothes will fit you. It worked for me, it'll work for you. Soda Diet Nutrition helps you hook up with a nutritionist who will get you on a food program that you can work with. And by the way, you don't have to buy the food through them. You can buy it at your local grocery store. It's a plan. You follow the plan, and you can lose weight. They told me I could lose 2 to 4 pounds a week. I lost almost exactly 30 pounds in 7 weeks. It was great. The first 4 weeks alone, I lost 18 pounds. Soda was great for me. It'll work for you. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Join KSL and the movie show crew this Friday from 10 to 1 at My Hearing Centers. Learn how to get a no-cost hearing evaluation.
Thinking about replacing your windows? Choose the company that builds and installs them right here in Utah. Advanced Window Products is Utah's local window and door manufacturer that sells directly to homeowners. Hi, I'm Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sac Lake City with Advanced Window Products. At Advanced Window Products, there are no dealer fees, no middleman markups, and no extra costs to cover someone else's profit. From manufacturing to installation, every step is handled by Advanced Window Products' local team. Every window is custom built in Salt Lake City for Utah's homes and backed by one of the strongest warranties in the industry, a lifetime warranty covering labor, glass, and parts. Even better, it's fully transferable to the next homeowner. Right now, get $2,000 off when you purchase 10 or more windows. Financing is available, and Dominion Energy rebates may help you save even more. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com. That's 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Progressive knows you want to get away, but not like too away. You crave the unknown, but also charcuterie boards with 4 types of cheese. And that's exactly why you bought an RV and bundled it with Progressive, because 24/7 protection is one luxury you'll never have to give up. So go ahead, explore the wilderness, all from the comfort of your zero-gravity camp chair. Switch to Progressive and protect your RV, boat, or motorcycle by bundling with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Howdy, neighbor. Check this out.
Whoa, where did all your stuff go?
Sold it.
Everything?
Everything. The snowblower, the riding mower, the weed whacker, the fertilizer spreader, and some of my wife's old shoes.
So what's left?
Bike, golf club, suitcase. Turns out, those things take up a lot less room. I think I'm ready for less maintenance and a lot more living. And at Ovation Homes, they build homes designed for your next chapter, not your last. Single-level living with modern finishes and low-maintenance features, making everyday life easier and a lot more enjoyable. Designed for real life and real budgets. a fresh approach to active adult living in northern Utah. And during the Next Chapter event, you can receive $7,500 on select quick move-in homes or $10,000 on a new home build. Visit Sadie's Glen in Syracuse or online at ovationhomesutah.com. Your best years really do start at Ovation Homes.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, so for children who have allergies, going back to school can be even more stressful, and I'm sure it's also anxiety-inducing for parents.
So it can be hard to control the environment and sometimes impossible to avoid situations, but they could end up being life-threatening.
So back to school on Inside Sources, we want to talk about kids and food allergies and how to navigate the situation once you're back at school.
Joining us now in studio is Amanda B. She's the former president of the Utah Food Allergy Network, and her daughter Vivian. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
So I wonder, can you just start with an overview about how you start to educate people about food allergies? And we were talking during the break, but I have sometimes heard, well, it's not that big a deal, but it really, really can be.
Yes, yeah. So I think the first thing I always like to ask somebody when I'm broaching that subject is, do you know anyone or love anyone who has food allergies? What are your experiences with food allergies? And more often than not, especially lately, I'll find that they're like, oh yeah, you know, my neighbor has it or my grandchild has it. And so I kind of gauge from there what information they have and kind of their attitude towards it. And I would say that overwhelmingly, as the years have progressed, I mean, Vivian's 14 now, so I've been a food allergy mom for 14 years. Like, the attitude towards food allergies has improved dramatically, and the knowledge that the general public has improved dramatically over the years. So,
I've been, Amanda, a food allergy husband for 20 years, and I appreciate exactly what you're saying because things have changed a lot. My wife is celiac, and 20 years ago, people would just think, well, just eat some bread. It's not going to hurt you. Yeah. Well, it did hurt her. And so things have changed for the better. But what can parents, let's say parents are thinking about sending their kids back to school and their child has a food allergy. Are schools doing things now that maybe they weren't in the past to protect children? Like even maybe your own daughter, if she goes back to school, what can they do? What can parents do? What should they do?
Absolutely. And also in that, I think great strides have been made recently because 2 children in every classroom will statistically have a severe and life-threatening food allergy. So I think the most important thing for parents of food allergic children as they're going back to school is to remember your child deserves to be safe and included in school, and to approach those conversations prior to school starting with your 504 coordinator for the school, the vice principal, principal, school nurse, school teachers, and approach it from a mindset of being part of a team that wants your child to succeed in school and be safe and included. But it can be very terrifying to send your child to school. Especially when they are contact reactive, when they're so young, and they're, as parents and as society, we teach children, listen to your teacher, listen to your elders, do what you're told. And with food allergy parenting, it's a little harder because we're like, do all those things, but also speak up. If something feels wrong, you need to use your words. You can tell an adult no if it's for safety. And so, it's important that you find that balance and you communicate every day. Communicate with your teachers, communicate with the staff. Try to have expectations of willingness and compromise. I think when you approach those conversations like that, you get a better response.
Mm-hmm. Vivian, I want to ask you a question. So it sounds like your food allergies are pretty severe. You carry an EpiPen, and your mom has used epinephrine on you more than once.
How?
So you're 14. Are you in high school?
Yes, I'm going into high school next week.
Okay. So are you going into a new school even?
Yes, I am.
How do you feel about that?
I'm a little nervous because I've never really met any of the teachers or their staff, and I don't really know what their experience is with food allergies and how they handle it and stuff. So I am kind of nervous to see how that goes. But overall, I'm pretty excited, and I think they'll do well, and I think the teachers obviously they're very responsible. And I'm also older now, so I can do stuff myself. I can carry EpiPens on my own, and I know how to administer it.
Wow.
Are you guys in a position, and I guess I'll ask you first, Vivian, where you basically make your own lunches, or do schools accommodate you?
I have always had home lunch up until last year when I started having school lunch, and it was kind of like a different experience. But overall, I think I enjoy having home lunch more because I just know for a fact that it's safe.
Yeah, you know it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder, Amanda, when you're talking with parents and schools, and it sounds like you've been successful at having, I think, a food-free classroom. Have you found pushback? Have you found just a lot of cooperation?
I think there is occasionally some pushback, and I think it generally comes from a place of fear and also just a place of, we've always done it this way. We've always rewarded with M&Ms, or we've always done this. So I try not to take it personally, and I try to remember that, teachers have a lot going on. So what I like to do, instead of approaching things as this is your problem to figure out, I come in with, this is what we need for my child to be safe, but here's the ways that I can help you. Here's a list of non-food treats that you can use to reward your students, and not all of them have to cost money, 5 extra minutes of recess, reading time, etc. I try to give them solutions. I've even done things like having a previous year's teacher write a letter to the new school year teacher saying, this is how I accommodated Vivian, this is why it was scary, and this is why I found out it was really easy, and we've actually incorporated these into our school classroom next year as well.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I've experienced with my wife Amanda is when she says I'm gluten free, sometimes restaurants will say, well, are you just doing that for health,
weight loss
or something? You have to say no. It's serious. I mean, do people take it serious when you tell them about Vivian's condition? Because some people think, okay, if I give Greg's wife wheat, she's going to be sad, but it's way worse than that for her. I mean, it's an allergy.
Yeah, sure. Well, it always helps if you put your EpiPen on the table. So, hi, can I talk to your manager?
Yeah, good idea.
But yeah, I mean, there are times where we've had to just accept and walk away because I couldn't trust that it was going to be safe.
Yeah.
But I think, like we said, that is changing. Like we say, look, we have a severe food allergy. Can I speak to your manager to see if it can be accommodated? It's just important to communicate. I can't emphasize that enough. Communicate. And maybe they are going to tell you, we can't accommodate because we don't know how. Well, I don't let it die there. I may not eat there, but I still find ways to help the food allergy community in the future by saying, you could accommodate if you had these pans that you kept separate or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yeah, I just want to share briefly. I have a brother who developed a life-threatening shellfish allergy as an adult. And he was in a restaurant one time, was very clear, it has to be cooked in separate pans. I can't have anything that any kind of shellfish is touched. He took one bite and he immediately knew they had used a pan that had shellfish in it before and had to do epinephrine. And he was like, I was serious, you guys. Like, I wonder, Vivian, for you, do you also have friends who have food allergies? Are most of your friends, they're used to eating maybe differently around you? Is that how that works?
None of my friends have food allergies or like anything like that, but my best friend is my cousin Reese, and like she's only a month older than me, so she's like very used to my food allergies, and like she knows that like she has to be careful around me. Mm-hmm. And my other friends know to be careful around me too. Like obviously, like going to new schools, I'm gonna make new friends, so I'm gonna have to like tell them that I have allergies and that like they need to be careful around me. But overall, my friends are like very like observant, and they like try to help keep me safe.
They kind of speak up for you, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. That's a really great thing about a good friend group.
Yes.
And you're lucky, aren't you? And she's lucky, Amanda, that we take these things more seriously than we did 20 years ago. And we recognize them. I mean, she may have a condition that, my wife's grandfather died because they didn't know he was literally eating himself to death. You know what I mean? That we've just learned so much. And I guess you can appreciate, and you have the resources available to help her and educate people around her. You know exactly what's going on with her condition.
Yeah, no, I'm so appreciative. And things have changed. Like when she was diagnosed at 6 months old, like I was terrified. It was terrifying to have a child contact reactive to milk. And at the time she was also allergic to egg, beef. And we found out about dragon fruit later. But when we started looking at kindergartens, I interviewed 8 different schools to find out not only, who would want her there and happily accommodate her, but who could accommodate her. And there were so many steps and hoops to jump through. And now, because of so many like wonderful advocates that have come before and people that have worked so hard in the allergic disease community, things are a lot easier. I
Mm-hmm.
went into a 504 plan just earlier this week for Vivian to transition to high school, and they were like, yeah, like this is different than we've dealt with, but we've also dealt with this before, so let's figure it out. And also I can say, we've done this for this many years.
Yeah.
There is a way to do this.
Yeah.
Let's accomplish this together.
All right. Thank you so much. Amanda B., former president of the Utah Food Allergy Network, and her daughter Vivian, thanks so much for joining us today.
Good luck in high school.
Thank you.
If you've missed any of our back to school segments over the last couple of weeks, you can catch all the conversations again on our podcast. Just go to kslpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcast, and we'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour is from ABC News. An earthquake shook the San Francisco Bay Area this morning. ABC's Alex Stone is reporting from California.
It preliminarily measured as a 4.1 magnitude, but then it was updated to a 3.9. That's not likely big enough for there to be any major damage or injuries. There are no reports of any. The quake was centered in San Leandro in the East Bay, south of Oakland, but it was felt in San Francisco. Typically, the USGS says anything above about a 2.5 some people will feel, but shaking from a 3.9 magnitude would be pretty minor.
In local news, a big win for a group opposing a data center project slated for a plot near the Great Salt Lake in Tooele County last night. Tooele Cares, the group in opposition of the project, said they have many concerns, one of which was the general health of the watershed near the Great Salt Lake. Meanwhile, Chuck Ackerlow, the owner and developer of the land, had this to say about the plats.
I think you've not been fully informed of how this structure exists. We bought the Zenith Bollender property because it was zoned industrial. And it was also in an area that on your general master plan, you wanted the whole area to be industrial. So we assumed that would be a good use for the property.
At night's end, both items tied to the project, which included a proposed addition to the county's ordinances to add a chapter specifically on data centers, were tabled. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got good signs in the market today. The S&P 500 is up 43 points, that's 0.5%, and the NASDAQ is up 192 points, that's 0.75%. Oil is down $1.37 a barrel. A barrel is currently sitting at $81.94. Coming up, we're getting a real cool-off today with some rain to boot. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm really interested to hear about how your parents talk to you at home, and how do you think they can kind of break through to you?
It's just to talk about it. It's just seriously it's going to be awkward at first. But if you keep repeating it over and over again, it's just going to feel natural.
Keep going, and soon we'll just be able to talk about it.
Talking about mental health with your teens is the power of we in action. Visit intermountainhealth.org/teen mental health.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Mike Rowe here with another fun fact. If your concrete is cracked or uneven, you can actually lift it back up. Whether it's a sinking driveway, a patio, or a sidewalk, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to lift your concrete slabs. Schedule a free inspection with Groundworks, the foundation and waterproofing experts.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest.
If he had dumped two, you would have thought maybe there's another one.
But now a witness, identified in the podcast, could lead investigators to Jamie Grissom. Binge Stolen Voices of Dole Valley wherever you get your podcasts and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the latest breaking news in the case.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's McKenna Rodriguez.
On northbound I-15 in Ogden at 31st Street, there's a crash causing some delays there. The vehicles are blocking the right lane, looking like it's due to wet roads from the rain, and normal slowdowns in Lehigh, both directions from 2100 north from Redwood Road to I-15. McKenna Rodriguez in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today we're going to see a high of 81 with a 70% chance of rain, and it's going to stay nice and cool until Saturday when we're back at a high of 85 and sunny. Right now, though, it's 77 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The group opposed to a proposed 1.8 million square foot data center in Tooele County are celebrating a win this morning after all discussions related to the data centers were tabled.
This all took place in a Tooele County Planning Commission meeting just last night. It's the latest move against data centers here in the state.
So this is not isolated, right? And I think it's not a one-off where people are saying, oh, well, it was just the rollout. I think that people are really getting concerned.
Yeah, and it's what we started in Box Elder County. We've been down to
Millard.
Iron County, Millard County, now Tooele County. But let's get the details about last night's meeting and the decision to table any further decisions about this from KSL News Radio's Spencer Mahan.
It was a full room for the Tooele County Planning Commission meeting last night, many of whom in opposition of a data center to be placed in Tooele County. Residents of the county pleaded for them to consider the long-term consequences of potentially adding a data center to the area during a work session.
You're going to have to live with the decisions that are going to be made. And we're all going to have to live with it, and our children and their children and their children forever. This is not a simple thing. We're talking about millions of years of effect.
That room remained full throughout the night until the items concerning the proposed data center came up. Chuck Ackerlow, the owner and developer of the proposed property, got up to speak.
So an interlocal agreement was entered into with the county in which it was agreed that the Public Infrastructure District would be the owner of all of the infrastructure that goes in there.
After about an hour of public discussion, it came to a vote.
Commissioner Beckstrom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott, I vote no. Commissioner Alder, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Stetz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen, how do you vote? And
Yes.
Commissioner Depp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
It is not known when the commission will bring these items back for discussion. Spencer Mahan, KSL News Radio.
So I think it's interesting, and there was a whole article in Punchbowl News, and they're just saying this: Republicans and Democrats have the same new boogeyman. It's data centers.
Yeah, and politicians do too. It's a big item
Yeah.
as it comes to elections and whatnot. And I think that the problem that we're having and that we're seeing is transparency, if I could define it by one word, and that is that people need to be made aware of these things before they're coming into their community. So good for Tooele. I mean, and good for Box Elder for the fact that they finally had to bring that to the public attention, and I think we're getting educated more and more on these, what they are, and let's face it, they're necessary. We have to have data centers. We just need to figure out how to do it in a way that's safe and that is convenient for the community, that doesn't cause too much of a environmental or noise or other impact.
So it's interesting politically, right, that now data centers is one of the things that people are running campaigns on. And this Punchbowl News story just talked about some of the ads about data centers. So this is, they looked at candidates for House, Senate, and governor. They've aired nearly 4 dozen broadcast TV ads mentioning data centers. This is from an organization called Ad Impact. And the partisan split was almost exactly the same. 22 of the 43 were from Republicans, 21 were from Democrats. They ran in 21 races across 18 states. And they're mostly running against the data centers. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and in one particular seat in Lansing, William Lawrence beat out 2 Democratic established-backed candidates in a primary last week with a campaign hyper-focused on his opposition to the data centers. His first general election and TV ads said that they create a existential threat. He said, "It became clear to me just how much this issue was uniting people across the political spectrum."
And I think we're seeing that, right? It allows people, like it's a wedge, especially for somebody who's an incumbent. We saw that effect here in Utah. Sherrod Brown, if you remember him, he is trying to return to the Senate. He lost in 2024 in Ohio. He's trying to go back, but he is running on data centers. And he has an ad that says, "I'll require the data centers to pay the full cost of their electricity, not you." And he's really pushing that issue as well.
Yeah, no fewer than 4 of his ads have really said data centers are an economic scourge, and that's, we're also hearing that there are issues involving data centers in races in Maryland, Wisconsin, Texas, Wyoming, and Washington State. So this is, like you said, a hot button issue, but it's bipartisan. I mean, both sides have to deal with it. And it's not like Republicans are pushing for these and Democrats are not. Both sides are taking issue with it no matter what party you're on.
So again, it's an interesting issue that unites the voting public, but it doesn't unite the politicians necessarily, because a lot of people, and we've seen this here in our state, they're like, "Hey, look, we think this is a good thing," and you just don't understand. And that's part of the messaging that's so problematic. When you start to tell voters that they're too dumb to understand, that becomes a real problem. But we know the president continues to tout how important data centers are to the U.S. economy. People are saying this is, we need it for national security, and China is going to beat us in this race. And in fact, the only reason you're opposed is because China has been influencing you negatively. And again, I think you sit there and go, people don't like to be talked down to.
I can't help but think that what happened in our own Box Elder County a couple of months ago has had some reverberations around the country. And I know we're not the only state where this came out, but it was a big thing at the time. And we talked about it. I had never talked about data centers or even thought about data centers. But that one was so big and so expansive and so expensive and so, let's face it, pushed down some people's throats, arguably. I mean, it was a done deal, and it's still it's still being told, hey, it's don't stand in the way. This is progress, and this is national security. That people are now looking at them and going, even like these politicians, I'll make sure that we have public hearings on these. I'll make sure that they pay their fair cost. I mean, I'll make sure that a data center just doesn't come up in your neighborhood and you go, hey, what's that? Well, it's a data center. Sorry.
Even in Utah, we talked yesterday on our show about, maybe it was earlier in the week, but Representative Jason Thompson in Utah wanting to run a bill that would put more specific constraints on MIDA, the Military Installation Development Authority, right? Saying unless it's within 5 miles of a actual military installation, or there were 2 other things.
Right.
It's not this broad brush of say, oh, hey, we think this has to do with national security, therefore we can move forward with a project in Box Elder County. He is saying let's put some guardrails on this.
If it's a military installation, let's make it part of the military environment. Yeah,
legitimately.
Instead of a community thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money behind it. And I mean, they're a necessary evil, I'll say. I mean, in data, if you consider what we're doing with artificial intelligence, there's got to be a place to store the data, and it's going to get bigger and bigger unless our technology gets better. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the things we've done when we've asked our listeners to weigh in on these data centers is a lot of them are like, look, we realize that we do want enhanced internet and we want accessibility. We don't want to give that up. But we need to really have some serious conversations about putting them in a desert, about putting them in a downtown, right? And we know that our own KSL investigators going out to Data Center Alley in Virginia, that the constant hum is a problem, right? It's a high-pitched sound. It's not that it's super loud, but it's constant, right? So I think this is an issue. It's not going to go away. We saw some results here in Utah yesterday.
Another issue that's not going away is the Greg and Holly data dispute.
I know.
I still go with data. You still go with data. But
And sometimes I say data, so there you go. Maybe you're winning me over. All right, after the break, we're going to talk about the federal government pursuing hate crime charges against a man accused of targeting a Muslim man in a stabbing at Valley Fair Mall in West Valley City. There's a little bit of things that there's some surprise, I guess, I have over why they're doing this based on other things they've said. So we're going to talk about that. Stay with us.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Walt Phillips right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Walt is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Walt's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
I want to extend an invitation to stop hiding in the back of photos. I know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
How long can you hold your breath for the photo before you finally have to let it out?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore once you go through Soda Diet and Nutrition, because they will change how you look. I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months.
And I let go of 37 pounds in 3 months. I remember when I was heavy, I used to wear jackets even in 100 degrees in the summer because I wanted something to cover my waist. Do you know how fun it is to be able to tuck a T-shirt in? This is the simple things in life. Tucking a shirt, wearing shorts, and not feeling, self-conscious is awesome.
Putting a belt on that goes right below your belly button where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible. And then it was because of Soda Diet and Nutrition.
Right now, you can get 4 weeks for free by calling 866-800-SODA and just mentioning KSL.
But the time's running out to take advantage of this, so call 866-800-SODA, mention KSL, and get 4 weeks free because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why our over 23,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with the needs analysis, where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in 1 day. We also have flexible, no money down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
a place
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So there have been some new developments just very, very recently in the case of a West Valley City mall stabbing in which a Muslim kiosk worker was severely injured and stabbed.
The man accused of the stabbing said he targeted the men specifically because of his religion and ethnicity.
And now the federal government is using that against him and saying that they're going to pursue this as a hate crime charge in federal court, thanks to a federal grand jury.
I have a lot of questions about this, and
Okay.
one of them is specifically about this is the surprising part to me. The DOJ, like, there's just a lot of anti-Islam sentiment right now, and in fact, the Associated Press this morning had an article that said, as Abdul El Sayed breaks a barrier, anti-Muslim vitriol surges on multiple fronts, and he has even been the target from the president, who has posted about him, calling him a danger to America. And Nancy Mace, who is a U.S. Congresswoman, she said every single Muslim holding public office in America is a Trojan horse and a threat to national security in our republic. And I'm like, okay.
Gotta be kidding
ouch.
me.
So my question is, why, if the federal government from the top has this view, which is totally inappropriate, why is the DOJ pursuing this as a hate crime?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to assume that the local U.S. attorney decided that it needed to be charged and may not have gotten the permission from our new Attorney General, Todd Blanche. I don't know. I'm not saying that the federal government wouldn't have approved it, because they probably did. But this is so clearly a hate crime, because he even said afterwards, I did this because he was Muslim. I think that they're a danger to the people, and I was hoping I could get other people to join in this same idea, that I could get other people to agree that we need to start taking these sort of actions against the Muslim community.
Yeah. So I have another question, and this has to do with federal. This is a federal thing, a federal hate crime, but he's also facing state charges. Tell me about that.
Okay, so initially after it happened, the state charged him with attempted murder, which is a crime, obviously, in state court, and they charged him with aggravated assault and attempted murder. They went through the process, and that case is pursuing and moving forward. The feds have now indicted him for a hate crime, and they're saying that you committed a crime against somebody's civil rights, and by stabbing them. So it's a crime that will go on its own, just as the state crime will go on its own. There's concurrent jurisdiction over this. That is, both entities can pursue it. It's not double jeopardy if one wins.
Sure.
And so the feds can say, we think you committed a federal crime, which is a hate crime. You committed a crime against a person because of their race or ethnicity. And the state's saying, we think you tried to commit a murder, and we're going to enhance it because it was a hate crime. So they both have that hate crime element, but underlying the crime itself is different in each jurisdiction. Both carry up to life in prison.
That was so they wouldn't do the trial together, right? They would still be separate. So one would be in state court, one would be in federal court as this moves forward. So the federal process, did they do a grand jury, which the state doesn't do?
Correct. In Utah, all of our state prosecutions are by information. Very rarely do we have a state grand jury. I mean, you couldn't even think of one right now. I can think of one or two. In the federal court in Utah and across the nation, all of their prosecutions are commenced with a grand jury. The feds don't do anything by what we call information. Again, that's about as rare as a state grand jury. It's because the state has hundreds of crimes that they're charging every day.
Sure.
So they can't do a grand jury. I mean, you'd have grand juries all over the place. The feds can pick and choose their more interesting, sexy cases, the ones that have and they can go through the grand jury process, which is a little bit more laborious, but they have the time and energy to do that. And then you don't get the difference between a grand jury indictment and a federal information is in the state information rather, is that in the state case, if you say, I want to have a preliminary hearing, and boy, we've talked about that a lot.
Sure.
You get that in the state system. You don't get a preliminary hearing in the federal system because the grand jury already did that decision for you.
That's interesting. So, so this information, tell us what that means for an actual case going forward. What does that look like?
So what it means is that both cases are going to proceed on separate tracks. Both cases will have separate judges, separate juries, separate prosecutors, probably even separate defense attorneys, because he's probably court appointed in each one. So he's held in custody right now, and what will happen in this case is they'll decide, the state, the district attorney and the U.S. attorney will decide who's going to hold him in custody, because otherwise, if he's in a federal holding, the state's got to file a writ to get him out. I won't get into the details there, but they'll sort of make a decision to which custody he's in, and then they'll pursue on their own tracks. You know, one trial may be in May of next year, another trial may be in February of next year, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely that they will, because the feds charge this, it tells me that they're not just thinking, okay, the state's got this, he's going to do enough time, forget it, we're not going to worry about it. They're probably thinking, we want a bite of the apple too here. So he may, I'm not saying he will, but there's a potential, Holly, that he'll do life in prison in two different prisons. You know what I mean? Or
how would you do that?
I know what you're going. I probably shouldn't have said it that way, but let's say the feds give him 30 years and the state gives him 20 years.
Yeah.
The question is, do they run concurrent at the same time or consecutive?
Right.
Because if they're consecutive, you do your 30, then
you move
all over to the state court. Wow. You start your 20 there, and that happens more than you think.
Interesting.
So yeah, but both cases will proceed on their own track. And now, having said that, I will say this: a lot of times these jurisdictions will talk. For example, I do a lot of child sexual abuse material cases, which are both federal and state, and sometimes they'll talk and say, "Look, they're almost all he's doing so much time in the state system that we're going to
leave him there.
Just let our federal case run concurrent. You can only do so many 30-year sentences.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and sometimes they'll even say, we don't even need to pursue it because your sanction was so harsh. He's doing life in prison. What good does it do to have a state life in prison after that? So the realities of it are different than the legalities of it, but they'll talk about that, and there'll be some level of communication. And I'm assuming that before he was indicted by the federal grand jury, that the U.S. attorney for the District of Utah called the district attorney for Salt Lake County and said, hey, we're doing this case. Not necessarily, are you okay with that? But we're
just
doing
informing,
this case. Yeah,
informing.
And there's always that level of cooperation between the two. It also tells me that that both entities are taking this very seriously, notwithstanding the way you started this, Holly.
Yeah.
The sort of the anti-Muslim sentiment around this country. So you would almost think, why punish somebody for doing something that?
Well, I have no problem with it. I'm glad that they do. It just seems like there's so much anti-Muslim sentiment that comes from the top. So I'm really glad to see this actually move forward. I do see that there's a GoFundMe for the victim here. He's the husband and father. We've talked about this. He was stabbed over 15 times. The GoFundMe now has raised almost $400,000 out of the $500,000 that they were seeking. So
good for them.
Yeah, good for them. And it's one of the things where, especially because I have a Muslim son-in-law, even more sensitive than I was before, I think discrimination is wrong. I think it's bad. I think attacking somebody because of their religion is wrong and it's bad, and particularly sensitive to this anti-Muslim sentiment because, like every, I think, major organized religion, the vast majority of people who belong to that religion are really good people.
And this is something that is, I'll just say, in my years of practice, where the law has changed over those 40 years. It used to be attempted murder was attempted murder. Now we say attempted murder if it's done for a specific reason, what we call a hate crime,
right,
we can enhance it. It's more serious. The feds are
Right.
the same way. If you do something, you stab somebody, that's bad. If you do it because of their
That's bad.
race or religion, it's really
It's
bad.
worse, yeah.
You know, we do the same thing with domestic violence. There's a lot of things we do
Sure.
where we enhance things that we didn't in the past. And I think it's our government and our legislators' recognition that some crimes are worse than others, even
Yeah.
though the effect is the same.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your scholarly attorney insights today because I've had a lot of questions.
Yeah, we'll follow that case over the next couple months and see where it shakes out. But let's take a quick break at the bottom of the hour. And when we return, a new center to address homelessness with a focus on senior citizens, something you don't think about, senior homelessness. And it just opened this morning. We're going to have a discussion on senior homelessness and how it's prevalent here in Utah, which you may not expect when we come back.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top local story this hour. A group that tracks weather patterns for ski resorts says this next season could be a doozy in Utah following last year's record low snowpack. Details from KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
The Open Snow forecast is predicting the El Nino pattern that's shaping up in the Pacific could be record-breaking, and that would probably be good news for Utah's ski resorts. Meteorologist Alan Smith says if the pattern holds, he's predicting above-average snowfall for the Sierra Nevadas, the Wasatch Range, and extending into the southwest.
But Smith adds winter outlooks contain an inherent degree of uncertainty because of all the factors that play into them. In other local news, another member of the Vineyard City Council is stepping down. Council member Ezra Nair says he's leaving to take a new executive job with Provo City after he replaced another outgoing council member just 8 months ago. The council has not yet said how or when they'll find his replacement. Once that happens, the council will have all new members compared to just 1 year ago. Other national stories KSL is following. An 8-year-old boy and his father had the catch of a lifetime at a neighborhood park pond in Pennsylvania where they reeled in a piranha. The boy's father, Michael, says it was a strong fish and hard to reel in.
I was like, slow down, dude. You might lose it. This looks like something we haven't caught before.
Piranhas are freshwater fish typically found in South American rivers and lakes with razor-sharp teeth. Wildlife officials say this highlights a problem where people release exotic pets into the wild when they can no longer care for them. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got red on the Dow Jones down 28 points. That's a fraction of a percent. But the S&P 500 is up 46 points. That's 0.6%. And the NASDAQ is up 214 points. That's 0.8%. Coming up today is going to be a little brisk. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio. Amanda, every business needs IT help. And sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't. Or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure. So both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com. Join me on the trip of a lifetime, an 8-day enchanting Rhine River cruise, August 7th through the 14th, 2027, so a year from August, aboard the elegant Amafiora, sailing from Basel, Switzerland to Amsterdam. We will cruise through the heart of Europe, past medieval castles, vineyard-covered hillsides, and storybook villages in France, Germany, and the Netherlands. And Morris Columbus Travel planned every single detail, so we just show up and enjoy ourselves. We're talking gourmet dining, licensed local guides at every port, a Morris Columbus tour manager right right there on board and exclusive pricing with savings of thousands off brochure rates. They've reserved just 50 cabins for our group, and I will be there for Q&A sessions and just to spend time together. This is a bucket list journey for me, and I hope you'll join me. Book in one click at morriscolumbus.com/KSL or call a Morris Columbus advisor at 800-999-4646. Optional pre-cruise Switzerland and post-cruise Amsterdam tours available too. Come see Europe with me. I can't wait.
Morris Columbus. This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And Doug.
Hot dog! Get your hot dog!
Customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
Hey, what are you doing?
I like your method. Direct. To the point. A little loud, but...
Listen, people don't buy car insurance the same way they do hot dogs.
Not yet, but both are customizable.
Popcorn! Get your popcorn!
Hey, this is a hot dog area.
And customize and save area. Get a quote at libertymutual.com or with your local agent.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at UCCU.com. Here's McKenna Rodriguez.
The crash in Ogden on northbound I-15 at 31st Street is cleared, and delays have followed suit, but do be careful though because the roads are still wet in that area. The rest of I-15 is looking problem-free in both directions across the Wasatch Front. At UTA, we move your early mornings, your long delays, your big plans. We move purpose. We move you. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. McKenna Rodriguez in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have rain and thunderstorms throughout the day from northern to southern Utah, and the high in Salt Lake City will only be 81 degrees, 82 tomorrow with more possible showers, and we're going to start to dry out on Saturday. Right now, it's 77 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
This morning, a new facility opened which will provide permanent supportive housing for people experiencing homelessness. It's called Switchpoint Red Hills, and it has a specific focus on helping seniors and veterans who find themselves without stable housing.
Yeah, and for this segment, we want to have a conversation about senior homelessness here in Utah and just how big of an issue it is. And so we're joined by Carol Holloway. She's the Chief Executive Officer at Switchpoint, which opened the new 110-unit facility in St. George just today.
Thanks for joining us, Carol.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted
We're so excited. We're so excited. I'm sitting in the community room and we just had a couple hundred people just leave. So I'm still on cloud nine.
Good for you. Good for you.
That's amazing. I wondered if you could share with our listeners just what you see from your vantage point about seniors experiencing homelessness, because I think it's a population subgroup that we don't think about very often.
Sadly, you're absolutely right. And to me, it's our most vulnerable population that we have to serve that's in the homeless arena. And the reason is because they're going to have more health issues, they're frail, they face more isolation. But we have seen a huge increase in the last couple years with senior homelessness. In fact, there was a great article that was in the Wall Street Journal that talked about the graying homeless, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really built around if you have a fixed income and you're on Social Security or a VA pension and it's only $1,100, where are you going to find rent that you can afford? And so we are seeing these seniors that are being pushed out of the housing that they've had, maybe like for 25 years, they've lived in the same apartment complex. Somebody buys it, they want to tear it down and build something new and market rate. And so we right in Switchpoints, we're a statewide footprint, but we have seen a 57% increase in senior homelessness than we have in the last 10 years.
Carol, tell our listeners about Switchpoint, the facility you're at right now, what it looks like, what it's going to be like, and how people will be living there.
Yeah. SwitchPoint started in 2014, and we started first as a homeless shelter, and I quickly scratched my head and went, we need housing. And so this particular facility has 110 units. 60 of them are one bedroom. 50 of them are studio apartments. Our rent is between $500 and $600 a month. And so that really fit a niche for our deeply affordable housing, if you will, that really targeted towards our seniors and our veterans. We don't just build housing, though. And I think that that's something that SwitchPoint has really shined at, is we want to create community. And when we create community, that's talking about barbecues and community activities and having going on in our facilities that keeps people engaged and hopefully not so isolated.
So I noticed in a news article about this grand opening that you just had is that those 110 units were filled in a week.
Oh yeah, 5 days, which is remarkable, but that's also what we do. We knew what the need was, and so we had the waiting list already completely done. The same thing we're facing in Salt Lake. We're working on a senior and veteran facility off of North Temple. It's going to be 76 units. Will be finished in February, but we already have 400 people on a waiting list. Mm-hmm. That should tell our communities that we need more senior housing that's affordable.
Yeah, that's the message I get.
I think you mentioned at the outset, Carol, that some of your tenants are also veterans. Is that correct? And if so, how did you select the people
Absolutely
that are going to fill these
correct.
110
Mm-hmm.
units?
Yeah.
How did you make the decision?
It's been really heartbreaking to see people who have, like, for an example, we had a story last night that was on KUTV, and it was one of our veterans that lives here at this facility. Bruce served 2 tours in Vietnam, and then he found himself St. George's shelter in 2014 and helped me because I didn't have locks on any doors. And so the Marine Corps and the Vietnam vets were my security. Wow. And now he's a client, and he gave a great speech about the gratitude of, hey, at least I feel like my service was worth it and people are giving back to me.
We're having
I thought, bingo, that's what we should be doing for us.
A little technical difficulty, but you keep freezing, but we have heard just a lot about what you're doing. You're just sharing about that veteran down there.
Did you say, Carol, that there's another facility that you're putting together here in Salt Lake on North Temple area? Is that what I understood?
Yes, right.
Tell us about that one.
We have 94 units that are existing there. Our address is 130 North, 2100 West, and it's called Fair Park. And so we're adding another 76 units to that. Yeah, we'll be finished with that in February.
And do you expect some of the same type of guests?
Yep. In fact, we're really focused on our veteran population up at that facility, just because there's been a big number of homeless vets in the Salt Lake County area.
So I'm going to ask you a question that's a little different than either seniors or veterans. Are you seeing an increase in families with kids that are experiencing homelessness too? Is that on the rise?
It is on the rise, and we're seeing it across the state for sure. But again, when you look at cost of inflation that has happened in the last, say, 2 years, but especially this last year, and then you have the cost of housing, it doesn't seem to do the math. The math's not mathing, right? And we're not seeing people being able to afford what they could afford a couple years ago. And that has just been kind of a crisis point. One of our facilities in St. George, we have a single mom with 8 kids. Wow. She had fled polygamy and was trying to make it on her own. But it is a tough market out there on how do you find something that's affordable while you're trying to work as many hours as you can and you've got kids to feed. So it's also, a really tough market. There seems to be a little bit more availability for family housing or the seniors and vets. And that's just because people tend to build larger units and we just don't have enough of the 1-bedroom or studio apartments.
So this might be an unfair question, Carol, because you just opened today, but you filled it today too. So do you have plans in that area, in the St. George area, for an expansion down the road? I know maybe months or years.
Yes, I do. We're hopefully working on a project right now that would give us another 200 units.
Oh, wow.
So, building affordable housing is tough because you have to find a capital stack of all kinds of sources, whether that's local support, city support, county support, state support. And so it's typically a 3 to 4 year project. So when you find the land, now you got to figure out how to pay for it. And this particular project was $25 million to build the 110 units. And so it's not cheap, but it's also definitely worth the investment when you figure out that we just changed 110 lives.
Wow.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Carol Hollowell, Chief Executive Officer at SwitchPoint, and they just opened 110 units. And she said they had waiting list of hundreds of people. So I think that just really speaks to the need that Utah has right now.
You don't think about that, senior homelessness, but it's on the rise in Utah. And as our population continues to get older in Utah, let's face it, we're getting to be an older, speaking for myself, population, and there's got to be a home for them, and affordable housing, very affordable, it sounds like, for veterans and seniors.
And fixed incomes, right? That's just such a big issue.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of our show. So on the next segment, Left-Handers Unite. Yay, we're going to celebrate a special day for all you lefties out there, including our favorite lefty here on the show, Greg Skordas. Stay with us.
This is Andy Farnsworth with One Kind Act a Day's Minute of Kindness, brought to you by the Semnani Family Foundation. One student in a kindness course at Highland High School mentioned how from simply being kind on the roads to helping both homeless animals and people, kindness has been a lifesaver. Because of One Kind Act's kindness course, the student has started volunteering at the Humane Society, where she walks dogs and cleans the kennels. Because of the kindness class, this student felt that they had become a better person and said that they hope that this class gets spread to other high schools like hers. How can you join or start a kindness community in your schools, homes, or workplaces? Find further resources and take the kindness pledge yourself at thepowerofkind.org. That's thepowerofkind.org.
There's nothing like getting outside, moving, and enjoying time with friends. Utah offers endless ways to get outdoors and stay active. Pickleball, hiking, biking, and more. Staying healthy is fun if you do it safely. Intermountain Health recommends taking time to stretch, warm up, stay hydrated, and pace yourself. These small steps keep activities safe and enjoyable for everyone. Because when you make health and safety part of every activity, you're taking care of what matters most: your life, your health.
We want you to join the conversation. Do you have an idea or a topic you think we should talk about more on this show? Let us know. You can send us an email at insidesources@ksl.com and tell us what you think we should cover. We're always looking for ideas and would love to keep you, our listener, included in the chat.
At Progressive, we know making a difference starts with making things happen. That's why we're partnering with organizations in your community to make change happen. By helping veterans get the reliable transportation they need, helping small businesses with everyday challenges, and providing aspiring homeowners with the educational resources to help them get into their first home. It's just another way we continue to innovate. Because you can't spell progressive without progress. Visit progressive.com/purpose to learn more. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Canyon Spirit delivers elevated rail journeys through the American Southwest, creating opportunities for travelers to slow down, take in the scenery, and experience destinations in a more meaningful way. Guest Experience Manager Clarissa Santos joins us with more.
Canyon Spirit represents the next chapter of the two-day Rockies to the Red Rocks rail journey connecting Utah and Colorado, which launched in 2021 under Rocky Mountaineer. Canyon Spirit is part of the Armstrong Collective family of travel experiences. It builds on a proven legacy of delivering unforgettable journeys that immerse guests in the world around them. In 2026, Canyon Spirit expanded its route to Salt Lake City, introducing a new 3-day journey. It gives guests the flexibility to beginner in their adventure in Utah's capital city. Across Utah, Canyon Spirit partners with local hotels, tour operators, restaurants, and other businesses to enhance the guest experience. This includes an overnight stay in Moab, giving guests time to explore the community and experience the iconic destination beyond the train. Through breathtaking scenery, authentic storytelling, and exceptional service, Canyon Spirit offers a deeper connection to the landscapes, cultures, and communities that make the region so remarkable.
With its expanded Utah route, Canyon Spirit is creating new opportunities for tourism, hospitality, and local businesses, while introducing travelers from around the world to Utah's unique destinations. Learn more at canyonspirit.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
Inside Sources.
So, Greg. I just want to know, lefty, southpaw, ink dragger, short-handed. Have you ever been called names because you're a lefty?
I've been called names, but not because I'm a lefty. I mean, people just kind of take it. What surprises me is that people don't really notice that. Every once in a while, I'll be with somebody, and even they've known me for a while, they'll go, I didn't know you were left-handed.
Yeah, it
as
took
though
me
that makes
months.
a difference. And I write funny because I curve my hand around so that it's the only way as a left-handed person you can see what you've written.
Yeah.
So you write, and so if you look at my little finger, it's always ink. It's always covered with ink because it drags in the fresh ink all the time.
That's right. So there's somewhere between 10 and 13% of the world's population is left-handed. Today is Left-Hander Day. We have 2 of them right here on our show, Greg Skordas and our board operator, and Britt Johnson, who's going to do the new news. I'm the odd man out here.
60% of the room is lefty.
So that's right. So Andy Cup and I are right-handers, but it's interesting to me. And I was looking online. I always look at like X and Merriam-Webster. The dictionary have an account. The dictionary has an account, and it's really funny. But today they said this because they were quoting today's International Left-Handers Day. So they say this: the French word for left is gauche. In English, gauche means lacking social grace. It may have come about because left-handed people could appear awkward when trying to navigate a mostly right-handed world. And then they say, rude.
Yeah. Do you remember when I was a kid, they made desks in our school?
Oh, yeah.
They were all for right-handed people because they
right.
would curve around. And so we had to go left-handed, go clear around to get on the desk. Before we leave lefty, the only things I do left-handed are eat and write. So I'm considered to be a left-handed person. No.
Oh.
Because, in some respect, if I throw a ball, it's right-handed. If I golf, it's right-handed. If I shoot a gun or something like that, it's right-handed.
Interesting.
The only thing I do that's you'd call ambidextrous, and this will sound weird, and then I'll quit, is if I play tennis or ping pong, I switch hands so that I'm always hitting a forehand.
Oh, wow.
I can switch hands.
Okay.
I know that's weird.
You're very talented.
So that's me.
Look, I had a couple of other fun facts. So we think there are about 36 million left-handed people in the United States. And there are more men that are left-handed than women. And now we have an age factor where there are younger generations are more left-handed because older people were forced to write with their right hand. And my own brother was that way. My dad literally would hit his hand every time he tried to use his left hand. He would hit it. And he's still a lefty. He's a pilot. He's 60 years old. next week. In a few days, he turned 60, and my dad tried to beat the leftness out of him, and it's like it didn't work, and also that was cruel and inappropriate.
Yeah,
So.
I had to learn to write right-handed just because at times you had no choice. But my parents were good about it. They just do what you need to do.
So I have a couple of jokes for you. Well, at least a couple of statements. And I included it in my newsletter. So I'll get to that in just a second. But I wanted to do some fun facts as well. So what day are we? The 13th.
Mm-hmm.
August 13th in 1521, the Aztec capital fell to Cortez, believe it or not. They know that date. So in 1818, Lucy Stone was born. She was a suffragist. She supported the rights for women and African Americans. And when she got married, this is early to mid 1800s, she kept her own name. Like, she was countercultural at the time, right? It was on this day in 1914 that the first ship passed through the Panama Canal. So
they built it that long ago.
Yeah.
That's
right?
over 100 years ago. And
Yep.
what an engineering marvel that was.
I know.
At that time in history, that had to be an incredible engineering feat.
And it still is, really.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it
Oh,
still
yeah.
is. Yeah. So it was also on this day in 1918 that the first woman joined the U.S. Marine Corps. So I didn't realize that it had been that long either, actually.
Yeah. Good
that
for
we had the
her.
first woman join the U.S. Marine Corps. Then it was on this day in 1942 that the Manhattan Project officially got underway. So if you remember what that was.
Yeah, that was the movie. What was that? That recent movie,
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
It was
that
to create the atomic bomb.
Yep.
That was their goal.
Yeah.
It was also
successfully.
It was also on this day in 1961 that Berlin was divided, and so you remember the Cold War and all of that stuff that was happening, and there had been some, I guess there had been some political things that had happening, but overnight the first version of the wall went up and it trapped Berlin residents. Some of them, like there had
for
been
decades.
Right, but there had been free crossover. You had family, and still maybe the east side was struggling a little more, so you'd go to the west side. And then it was on this day in 1961 that the wall went up.
Yeah, and I
think it was 89 that the wall came down.
Reagan and what he
Gorbachev,
said.
tear down this wall.
I have a piece of the Berlin Wall.
Oh, that is
At
awesome.
my home, yeah.
So I wonder. So here's okay, come on.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if you've heard this quote. This is a good one. If the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, then only left-handers are in their right minds. Okay.
Like that,
All
yes.
right. What do you got for closing arguments for us today?
I'm not breaking news because what happens tomorrow, but we are hearing that Luigi Mangione, the fellow accused of killing the insurance executive, I think it was in New York, may be entering a guilty plea tomorrow. And it got me thinking about that and that case and sort of the parallels maybe with the Brian Koberger case that we had right here in Utah, actually up in Idaho rather. Two men, and Luigi hasn't pled yet, and Brian's trying to withdraw his plea, but sort of the same sort of narcissistic behavior, crimes committed for whatever weird reason, and two men that love the limelight. So I would say this to Luigi Mangione's judge tomorrow: make sure that plea is locked tight, because he is, mark my words, going to come back and do a Brian Koberger in a year or two and say, well, just kidding, he's going to miss the limelight. As Mangione gets more than Koberger, but they both got it, and the press loves him for whatever reason. I mean, he killed somebody, but they're making him a hero because it happened to be an insurance executive, and people say what they have their feelings about insurance companies, and But at the end of the day, both of these men kind of committed a crime thinking they were going to get away with it in their own ways. Even the guy that we talked about a minute ago that stabbed the Muslim, a crime that's committed thinking I'm Koberger, I got away with it. I committed the perfect murder. Yeah. Mangione thinking the world's going to love me because I killed an insurance executive. Yeah. And the guy who stabbed the Muslim store owner. I'm going to be a hero here. I appreciate the criminal justice system. It makes me appreciate what we do, because at the end of the day, you can't get away with these type of crimes based on something like that, and the system's going to catch up with you. And I tell people that all the time. There is no perfect murder. There's no murder that people are going to go, wow, that seemed like a pretty good idea. The law is not going to support that. It just isn't. So I hope that we report tomorrow that Luigi Mangione has pled guilty to a serious crime and not a slap on the wrist type of thing. And I hope that he goes to prison, because no matter what you think of insurance companies, and I've had my share of horrible experiences with insurance companies, that was absolutely a terrible thing to do. Kohberger, he thinks he's so smart. I got away with the perfect murder. He's doing 4 life sentences, and he's not going to be able to withdraw that plea. And if he does, by some miracle, he'll get the death penalty. Hello?
Yeah.
And the guy that stabbed the Muslim store owner or store proprietor, society's not going to write down any of these 3 men that they were heroic. They're going to spend all 3 of them the rest of their lives in prison, and to think about what they did, and the public's going to forget them, and that hero label that they all thought they might have, or that they got away with something, isn't going to last. It just made me appreciate the criminal justice system, and of course 2 of them aren't even resolved yet, but it sounds like one of them is going to be tomorrow. And the fact that we do have laws, and laws are there for a reason, and they keep people from doing what these 3 men are accused of doing.
I do think it's a weird flex, and I think Tyler Robinson's defense attorneys, it's a little bit of a weird flex to say he shouldn't get the death penalty because he's such a good shot.
I know.
It's like, okay, all right.
An unusual thing that was.
Thank you for your closing arguments. I appreciate them every day. Look, rain and thunderstorms are around the state today. Hooray! But they're prompting concerns of flooding in areas affected by recent wildfires. Boo. Utah Flood Watch is coming up on Utah's New News with lefty Britt Johnson next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health